Shalakadia, Shak take it over and oh, and skip it up and oh, and so Shak take it over, oh, and skip it up and oh, and so Shak take it over, Shalakadia, Spora Hevinda, Shalakadia, Shak take it over and Shalakadia, Spora Hevinda, Shalakadia, Shak take it over and Shalakadia, Spora Hevinda, Shalakadia, Shak take it over and Shalakadia, Spora Hevinda, Shalakadia, Shak take it over and oh, and skip it up, oh, and so Shak take it over, oh, Jalakudio, Shak Negative and Zobio, and Slipperio, and Shak Negative, Obio, and Slipperio, and Shak Negative, Jalakudio, Scorevinda, Shak Negative, and 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 Obio, shalakadia, shak negative and so behind the and slip of a bow behind, shak negative, oh behind the and slip of a bow behind, shak negative, alakadia, skora evina shalakadia, shak negative and 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 oh behind the and slip of a bow behind, shak negative, oh behind the and slip of a bow behind, shak negative, alakadia, skora evina shalakadia, shak negative and 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 alakadia, skora evina shalakadia, shak negative and
Hello and welcome to RPG Research. I'm your host and Game Master Hawk Robinson, and today we are going to be doing kind of an unboxing and playthrough of the new-ish Star Trek Adventures role-playing game basic introductory set. The role-playing game starter set is how they phrase it, but I gotta fix the settings on. And this is from Modiphius. It is a 2D20 system. It is a little bit different system than we've ever played before. Looks interesting. We do have the full version of the core rulebook, but we are starting with the starter set because that's what I look like I'm on the color filter. Fix that. Sorry, we're still adjusting to the new studio setup and everything.
Commander is a strange color.
Everything is out of whack. Remember that in the 60s episode where the face was changing colors as the alien was in it? That's what it looks like. I can turn off the chroma key and just deal with the grain now.
You look like an alien. Now you look like the Red Hulk. It also makes your beard grow taller.
So nitpicky. So it's just not
I don't
annoying
think the gamma
people.
changed.
I want it to be enough to not bother. Hope that's at least tolerable for folks. At least it's not the big distortion thing. All right, and we don't have the camera facing that way yet, so we've got the backs of your heads at the moment. Could turn on. You know what I'll do is turn on the switch the GM camera. See if that one also has color. Skew. See a minute. Some color shift. That should see you and stuff. Again, we're working out the new overhaul. Got new USB cables that actually have power, so that, but I'm still working on. Bear with us, you know, studio overhauls, but it's coming along. We're getting there. So I am very much a red shirt. Of course, that has different meaning in the next generation onward than the original series,
Right.
because it's command and it used to be security, and I don't know. I guess the DM. I couldn't get anybody else to wear a red shirt. None of you wore a red shirt.
I looked in my closet, and with the only red shirt I have would make it so that I would probably.
When do I show
Dan,
up
would
my
you
uniform
mind
shirt?
heating up the other mics, please? So basically, that mic should go to Danielle. That mic. I'm sorry. What was your name again? I'm sorry. James. I was going to say Jim.
Oh.
So it's not Tiberian, is it? Tiberius.
Tiberius.
So that boom mic will come to James, and then Dan, you'll have the shotgun mic. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we want everything except number 2 hot. 7. So 1 through 6 hot except for number 2. Put it down below him. Yep. Put it. Yeah, I mean, generally with these mics, you have to speak pretty close to them. People will hear you. It's just kind of, don't worry about it too much. People will hear. All right. So, yep. So
2 and 7.
1 through 6, except for 2.
Okay. I said that. He said number 2, and I was like, yeah, and 7.
So what's interesting, I did get the screen as well, and they went with a very unusual format for the GM screen. They went with a record album, classic vinyl record album size. So normally they're either the low HD format
8x10
or the regular, 8x10 either way, right? Either portrait or landscape, 8x10. Here they went, I guess, 10x10, 11x11 or something, which is unusual. I can't think of a screen I've had. I have a lot of screens.
Just going with that stereotype that nerds are square.
That must be it.
Yeah.
That's their reasoning, I'm sure. You nailed it there. So I can't do this for too long because of copyright and stuff, but let's give this a shot for a short snippet. If I can.
Commenting on it.
Oh no. Beam me up, Scotty, even though he never says that.
MP, shoot to kill, Scotty, beam me up.
Klingons off the starboard bow.
so that's about all I dare.
Yeah.
So the cool thing is,
Yeah, we
So leave
played
there.
the one song too long.
so there's different modes I can set it to, so it'll do the badge mode. And I can change Google to say, or Siri to say, instead of OK Google, Siri, I need to change it to say, OK computer. And then have it, a voice command. And I can answer phone calls, make phone calls with it too. So, Gene Roddenberry.
You'd be proud.
So it's a Bluetooth. It was like $70. Bluetooth to any smartphone. Figured it would be fun. It has cosplay mode where you don't have to use it in Bluetooth mode, so you can just do the tap thing.
So everybody's combat is actually linked to the tricorder.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, they're kind of linked. They're more of a WAN, wide area network, because they could talk to each other.
Yeah.
Remember, even when like the Enterprise was gone, they could still talk to each other for them. So they're basically more like their own cell networks. But we're getting closer. Getting closer.
Yeah.
All right. And they do have a old classic flip phone version as well. So I don't know if that's a sync to your phone
That's
or
one
if
of
it's
the things I
if
miss
it's
the
a
most
complete
about
phone.
my
having a flip phone. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Give me up, Scotty. There's no intelligent life. All right, so I'm going to read a few. We do a lot of just reading aloud and sharing with everybody what's in here, and because it's our first time, we've never played it. Complaint already about the screen. Again, this is not in the basic set. It's all text. That is not a good GM screen. Right?
I don't know.
A GM screen is supposed to be like bullet points and quick references and diagrams and charts and things like that you would normally reference constantly as a chart. Long blocks of text is not what the purpose of a GM screen is for. It's like a scientific poster. You're not supposed to have tons and tons of text. You are supposed to have, like this
But that
section.
just makes me wonder how useful it is, though.
This section here is standard GM screen with those charts, although really hard to read because they did orange on black.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole problem is the entire books, everything, are because of this style of the shows. All of it is text, light text, white text, or brown, yellow text on black background. Which, from a readability perspective, or anybody with reading, going to make a lot. At least it's the white's high contrast, so that's something. But it is hard to read. But the moment they go to the yellow, that's really hard to read without any reading disability. So I can still read without my glasses, right? But a little blurry without them. But anybody, that is not a very helpful. That's just a lot of text. It's not very helpful from a quick use screen perspective. All the decades of screens. Wow. But at least it hides stuff really well.
Yeah, with the records.
And it's interesting they went 3-panel instead of 4-panel, things like that. And included with that was some really nice maps. There should be a big map poster. That's problem. Maybe it's up my bus. Did I show it to you in the bus? You did.
I didn't see it.
Well, let's see if it's in here. Oh, here it is. All right, so this comes with the screen, and so you can either go poster
Of the artwork on the screen.
Is that the same?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can either go with the poster up on your wall, or this is the useful part, and this is in the textbook. It's in the lining of the textbook. The star charts in useful detail. You want to look at that? Feel free to get that around for me. And the good thing is, if you get the core book, the same thing's included. Just it's in the lining. It's a little less convenient, but at least it's there.
Where's the 480?
Look around. So stylistically, it's very pretty,
Yeah.
but accessibility-wise, it has a lot of concerns. So this has the role-playing game starter rules. And it's a nice, thin, small booklet, as it should be for a starter set. And it is, let's see, it has page numbers, 24 pages. And it has the introductory starter campaign, A Star Beyond the Stars. Looks like Klingon Bird of Prey there.
Not a
And
spoiler on it.
I always get confused between the two since they stole from each other in the
Yeah,
designs.
wrong.
That's the wrong.
Curves.
Okay, that's the more curvy. Okay. I thought the projecting head was more, but
That
from the
makes
side
it
I
more
would
bird.
recognize it better. Okay. 52 pages for the campaign. And then we have some floor mats for the different scenes you're going to come across. So we have this map. It's like
It's a
some
planet.
That's a planetary map with the moon.
Yeah, it's just it's. We'll find out as we go through it. And then what looks like the inside of ships or space stations, two different. Looks like this is a cavern. I think those might be prisons. Really hard to see, really dark. So we'll find out through adventuring, maybe.
Hold that right before you set something on it.
What?
Hold that right before you set something on it, and it folds all funky.
This?
The one he had in his hand.
Oh.
Oh, it didn't lay down first, so it was really bad.
Looks like we got another dim portal way of some kind, almost like a Stargate.
Yeah.
And then we got an outdoor scene of some kind, jungle ruins of some kind.
Primitive culture. It's supposed to live in.
Yeah, and then some more high tech, three different locations. It looks like. So all these will be potentially played through in the adventure. We have a bunch of tokens, counters, what have you. Looks like these are for your characters. So, have you guys picked characters yet?
Let me read them
So
out.
go ahead and go through them. So Dan, you already picked yours, right?
No.
No?
I didn't want to be unfair.
All right.
Yeah, I will go last. But we have Chief of Security, the Con Officer, the First Officer, the Medical Officer, and the Chief Engineer. Of course, in rank, the First Officer outranks everybody else here. Everybody else would be about equal, unless it's dealing with their specialty. So you don't question the Medical Officer about medical things.
Okay. You want to choose first, Dan?
You're the guest here. You get first choice.
I'll go
What's he look like? Is that the Orion?
Yeah, it's the one with the antenna.
Yeah. Andorian, sorry. Ay.
I'm gonna go with the medical officer.
Okay. Let's see what that one looks like.
That's the Black Klingon.
Vulcan.
Vulcan, right. I don't know the Klingon.
I don't know.
Oh.
Because we're all getting our merds mixed up today.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you taking?
Yeah.
I'm going to let you go.
I already said I'm going.
And after you, I just, oh, you're far too kind. Indubitably. Okay, Macintosh.
I'm taught.
Choose your death. You
First
need to
off,
roll.
Okay.
All right. Which that? Okay. And here's your counter.
Ujaran.
Bajoran?
Okay, I will go with the engineer. That leaves us
Let me
down
see
to-
the
that's
picture.
the Trill Del Symbiont.
Okay. Screaming? Oh, no. Different one. Which one did you go with? That one. Okay.
He's singing.
Oh, see.
See, that's a giant mic.
This one's off
Okay.
the mic.
Yeah, because it'll probably blow up. So where do we mine the lithium crystals at?
And then we've got a bunch of these like Federation tokens and Red Alert tokens, which I think have something to do. So There's a couple of things the system has distinctively, which is the momentum system, a few other aspects. So this is the 2D20 Modiphius system. And we don't know much about it yet. We're going to learn as we go. So, again, we like to show people how much a starter set is really a starter set versus not really a starter set. To date, the only true starter set we have found is the 1983 red box basic D&D from Frank Metzer. That's the only true starter set we've found to date in decades. I don't know what it is with role-playing game publishers that what it means to start from scratch. No mentor, nobody who's played, nobody who's GM'd. You want somebody to be able to get a Christmas present or a birthday present, open it, and be playing in 5 minutes. And we can't find a game that you can do that except this one. But let's find out what this one does. So, I open it. Lots and lots of pretty Federation artwork. No information, but lots of pretty artwork.
What is that?
This is the first 2 pages. We have our credits and such, but basically lots of pretty artwork, no information other than
And the table content.
and the table of contents. But again, in a very artistic style. Welcome to your first assignment: basic operations, conflict, starship rules, and starship combat. Rules of play: welcome to your first assignment. To explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. Captain Jean-Luc Picard. At least that I can say versus playing the recording. Welcome to the final frontier. You are about to embark as a Starfleet officer on a Federation starship headed for the unknown, to boldly go where no one has gone before. As a Starfleet officer, you are among the best and brightest in the Federation: commanders, pilots, scientists, engineers, and doctors. Your starship, a vessel of great speed and power, is the pinnacle of space exploration technology, allowing you and your crew to investigate new spatial anomalies and support Federation worlds through the galaxy. Star Trek takes place in a future in which humans have formed an alliance with hundreds of other worlds to support one another and explore the galaxy. Pushing the boundaries of both known space and knowledge, scarcity of resources is no longer an issue. Replicators synthesize meals and equipment. Peoples of all worlds travel faster than light between systems, at warp, crossing whole sectors of space in days or weeks. Away teams are teleported instantly to the surface of a planet or between starships. Energy weapons are used by both security personnel and starships, and energy shields protect vessels from damage. The United Federation of Planets is surrounded by potentially hostile powers on all sides. In the Alpha Quadrant, the Cardassian Union and the Federation enjoy a tenuous peace as their border is hit by militant colonists calling themselves the Maquis. So you should have the map out as I talk about it, because you're all officers, so you should have access to the star charts, I think, as a GM. If you were in a different setting, you may not. But as Starfleet officers currently on a ship,
Twilight 2000.
have access to it.
Not everybody gets the map.
Yeah. So, to familiarize yourselves with the setting, look for the United Federation of Planets, that whole region.
Wow, we're small.
In fact, get the overhead camera going here. That's probably going to be helpful.
Proportion-wise, we're small.
I find it amusing though that United Federation of
Except
Planets
it's
does
not
include
configured.
Earth.
What's that?
United Federation of Planets doesn't include Earth. Or wait, no, it's warped. So Earth is here, but the listing for United Federation of Planets is over here.
Oh yeah, the team invaded Federation space.
Oh, well, wait. Here's part of the thing you're mistaken. This is Federation, that's Federation, and this is also Federation.
So everything put.
Everything purple is Federation. So Federation is a large chunk of this map, not this little corner, because that would not make sense.
Why is it over?
And Earth is the center of the universe, the galaxy.
Galaxy. This is all one galaxy.
No, apparently not, because Earth is the center of the galaxy. Not the center of the solar system. What do we got?
Nope, nope.
That one way over there.
Yeah. I thought it might be in your reach, but I was wrong.
You forget I'm a short person.
I do
Where's my gripper stick?
That's all.
What
Yeah.
dice do we need?
2d20 and 4d6.
So we each need 2 of these bags.
Or there's aces up there of dice. You're gonna.
There's some dice right
I actually
here.
put more
Here,
stuff
I
away,
got
but in so doing, I made a mess too.
I've got more than enough.
Oh, okay.
Oop.
2 bags each.
2 bags each. Here. John.
I'm gonna go ahead
The
and use the ones I can
gray
reach right
one. Okay, you can reuse those ones. Whichever one has gray in it does. Oh, never mind. It's the one in front of me. I'm just gonna snip out these.
As I said, we're still working on getting the studio all set up, and
You have yellow because I have a yellow D4 somehow.
Hey, here's yellow.
And here's the yellow D4 that goes in it. Ones that you don't want to use. Or borrow.
Here's mine.
So did it come with dice for the GM at minimum?
the starter set does. Yeah, it comes with 2d20 and special Star Trek 6-sided. You can take a look at them.
Ooh, Gibson Rose.
Just one set, and you can buy the sets
Those
for like
are different than
8
what
or
we
11
have.
bucks a set. So they have special emblems on. They're still just 6-sided and d20. That's all they are.
They don't go 1 through.
Right, because you'll learn how to interpret the numbers on regular
Okay.
D. Still, you can always do that with any dice.
Yeah.
They always have a way to interpret regular dice.
This looks like it belongs to your high contrast ones if you're on the bus. Are we missing a die 8 from those?
Maybe, I don't know.
Hey, John, can you fix that
What are you talking
overhead camera? Stand.
Well, who's thinking about doing properly? I'm an engineer.
What? Hey!
You have two choices, fast or right.
Oh, James,
Which one do you want?
Right. Less of a hurry, more about it being done right.
Here,
Darn these chairs.
pass it back.
You're gonna pull the green screen down. Because we only have push pins holding up that. Is that the broken one?
No, it's not.
No. Okay.
I'm in it.
What's wrong?
He's in the wrong chair.
I'm in the
All right. So. Okay, there's a little lock right there. Nope, come down right there. That's the lock, so that you can loosen it and then adjust it. Pivot in every direction.
This.
Okay. No. That camera is not even. It's get it locked in so it's. So you're tilting. All right, well, you guys can look at the map while he's jiggering that. So again, United Federation of Planets is surrounded by potentially hostile powers on all sides. In the Alpha Quadrant, the Cardassian Union. Can you guys find the Alpha Quadrant, Cardassian Union? And the Federation enjoy a tenuous peace as their border is hit by militant colonists calling themselves the Maquis. In the Beta Quadrant, the allied Klingon Empire is a powerful militarist civilization spanning hundreds of light years. The Romulan Empire, further toward the center of the galaxy, has been an adversary for centuries, indeed, since before the Federation was formed. The Neutral Zone, the buffer between the Federation and the Romulans,
Belt.
and through a wormhole to the Gamma Quadrant, thousands of light years away, the Dominion poses a new threat to everyone in the Alpha and Beta Quadrants.
With a weird rainbow thing at the top.
That's the type on its pants.
Look, you're looking for the Gamma Quadrant. Not include that in this?
We do not. It doesn't say whether this is what quadrant this is. I'm sure this is the Alpha Quadrant.
Well,
The whole
no,
map.
because the Federation is. So we have Alpha Quadrants, Cardassians, Beta Quadrants, Klingon Empire, Romulan Empire's in the center, the Neutral Zone. Then we've got the Gamma Quadrant, thousands of light, so it must not.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a little annoying. They should have included a Gamma Quadrant.
Well, there's the shackle of the expanse.
The brain over there.
I think the Gamma Quadrant plays, especially the Covenant to Traveler.
It does, yeah, because that's Voyager and everything. It's a long distance, but it still should have. Maybe there's another map to buy. So then it goes through what is a tabletop, what is a role-playing game. They use Game Master as the standard terminology. They don't use Storyteller, etc. So each game sometimes has a different term. Lore Master for the One Ring, Dungeon Master for D&D. They use Game Master, so no special terminology there. John was asking that. Blah, blah, blah. This is all standard. To use this beginner's game, someone needs to be the Game Master, who understands the rules and leads the players through the mission booklet inside the set. They'll describe the scenes inside, etc., etc. So then it front end loads the next 20-something pages with rules. I'm going to give you just the initial part. We're not going to go through all of it, because you should learn through play, even though they're not doing it that way. Hopefully the adventure will do. But I will read just a little bit so you understand your character sheets a little bit. Star Trek needs a new crew. Star Trek Adventures is a role-playing game using the 2D20 system. This quick start guide summarizes rules for the game of discovery and adversity on alien worlds and beyond the stars. You should read these rules before running the sample missions on the starter campaign booklet. The missions themselves introduce key concepts as you play through the campaign. The next section addresses all the rules needed to play this mission, beginning with a description of Starfleet officers' various statistics and how tasks are resolved. Challenge dice. Challenge dice, denoted in Star Trek Adventures by the little starship symbol, Federation symbol there. These six-sided dice are used primarily for inflicting damage and determining how much protection a character receives from cover. Each of those symbols has four faces with three possible results. Each of those types of dice has four faces with three possible results. A score of 1, a score of 2, and two faces showing the Starfleet insignia, which is an effect, and two blank faces for no result. A group of challenge dice is usually rolled all at once, and the results added together. Multiple challenge dice are noted as the number and then the dice, that symbol, where X is the number of challenge dice rolled. So 4 and then that symbol, delta, I think it's a Star Trek delta or something like that, indicates 4 challenge dice should be rolled and the results added together. If you don't have special challenge dice available, you can use normal 6-sided dice instead. Treat any die which rolls a 3 or a 4 as blank. 3 or 4 is blank. Any die which rolls a 5 or a 6 as an effect. So a 1 equals a challenge dice result of 1. A 2 equals a challenge die result of 2. 3 and a 4 equals 0. 5 is a 1 plus effect, and a 6 is 1 plus effect. Each character has several statistics, including their competency with different physical and mental attributes, as well as their expertise in various disciplines. So it's attributes and disciplines is the terminology they use. Attributes. 6 attributes ranging from 7 to 12. Control. A character's self-discipline, coordination, and fine motor skills. Daring. A character's bravery and quick thinking or acting without hesitation. Fitness. A character's physical strength and stamina. Insight. A character's understanding about their environment and other people. Presence. A character's personality and ability to command attention or respect. Reason. A character's logical and problem-solving abilities. And they have their disciplines. A character has 6 disciplines based on their training in Starfleet. Command. A character's ability to direct a crew or lead a team. Con. C-O-N-N. A character's ability to pilot a starship or ground vehicle. Security. A character's ability to defend themselves or conduct investigations. Engineering. A character's ability to resolve mechanical or technical problems. Science. A character's knowledge and understanding of the universe. Medicine. A character's ability to heal others and treat illnesses. Focuses. Oh, that should be foci. The plural of focus is foci. Anyway. Like forum and fora, not forums. Oh well. Focuses, I'm going to twitch like lore every time I say that.
Yep.
Represent specialized subjects about which the character has more precise knowledge or experience. These focuses can be any topic and apply to any attribute plus discipline combination where the focus is relevant to the task. Tasks. Whenever a character attempts to complete an activity where the outcome is in doubt or failure is interesting, the character attempts a task. Attempting a task. Task involves a character's attributes, disciplines, and focuses, and requires rolling 2 or more d20s. 1. The game master chooses which attribute and which discipline are appropriate for the task being attempted. They also consider whether any of the character's focuses are applicable, add together the attribute and the discipline chosen. This is the target number for the task. The game master then sets the difficulty for the task. This is normally between 0 and 5, but can go higher. The difficulty is the number of successes the player must roll on their d20s to successfully complete the task. 3. The player rolls their dice pool. The player takes 2 d20s and may choose to purchase up to 3 additional d20s, by spending momentum, adding to threat, or using determination. See improving the odds. Once additional dice, if any, have been purchased, the player rolls their dice pool. Number 4. Each dice that rolls equal to or less than the target number scores a single success. A. If there is an applicable focus, then each die that rolls equal to or less than the discipline being used scores 2 successes. B. Each die that rolls a natural 1 scores 2 successes. So low is really good.
You would be great at this.
We'll see. That's not how my luck seems to work. We'll see how it goes. C. Each die that rolls a 20 causes a complication. See complications. Yeah, he's making reference to, on the air, I rolled 5 ones in a row on a d20. When it mattered.
Yeah.
5. If the number of successes scored equals or exceeds the difficulty of the task, then the task is completed successfully. If the number of successes is less than the difficulty of the task, then the task fails. Any successes in excess of the difficulty of the task become momentum. Number 6. The game master describes the outcome of the task. If the task was successful, the player may spend momentum to improve the result further. After this, the effects of any complications are applied. All right, guys, so tell me how the game system works. Did any of that stick, or is your head going bits and pieces?
It feels like I'm listening to Star Wars again.
Yeah, doesn't it? Although not as complex as theirs.
Yeah.
Anybody able to absorb that?
That's our pieces.
Yeah, bits and pieces. Are you able to use it in any meaningful way at this point?
No. I need to see examples.
Exactly. Now, they do have short examples. You think that's, I mean, I'll give it a shot,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference because we're in lecture mode here. That's not the same as application mode, which is much more effective for learning layer. We talk about neuroscience of learning. Learning in layers, working your way up in complexity through application is far more effective. Right? The Charlie Brown. But here's an example. Scotty is, I get the concept, but we are going to have to really go through it each time. And why read all these rules first? Why don't you just throw us in the adventure and tell us, now do this, and we will get it by you showing us and doing it.
Right.
Which is what the Frank Venture is. Example. Scotty is attempting to squeeze additional power out of the Enterprise's engines. You cannot push it any faster than that, Captain! His target number is his control attribute 11 and engineering discipline 4 for a target of 15. And he has a focus in starship propulsion, and the task has a difficulty of 2. He rolls 2 d20s, rolling a 4 and a 19. The 4 scores 2 successes, thanks to his focus in starship propulsion, while the 19 scores no successes. With a total of 2 successes, Scotty succeeds at his task. Straighten you out like a pretzel?
I actually understood that.
Right, no, it's understandable.
Okay, so
Are you able to play it right now?
the control
Maybe.
plus the engineering equals my goal.
That's your target.
So it's like Doctor Who,
And
where
you gotta
your
focus.
attributes plus
So-
your
What you want is your number of successes. So you have
Yeah.
a target that you have to beat to get successes, and then you want the total accumulation of successes.
Yeah.
That's how they're doing it.
and you
Right,
get
because this
your
creates a
target
more
through
interesting curve on the dice curve and such. These are
attributes.
definitely people who are playing around with the dice curve mathematical stuff.
So in the example, his control and engineering added up equal what?
His control attribute and engineering discipline, so control attribute of 11, engineering discipline of 4 for a target of 15, and he has a focus in starship propulsion, and the task is a difficulty of 2.
So
He rolls 2d20, rolls a 4 and a 19. The 4 scores 2 successes, thanks to his focus in starship propulsion, and while the 19 scores no success because it's above the 15.
Okay.
so when I'm trying to heal someone,
Yes.
I would use medicine, which is a 5,
And
Which makes no
reason,
sense.
probably, something.
Or
And-
insight.
and reason, which would equal 16, plus I get an extra bonus d20 because I have first response.
All right, so you get
And
to roll
then
3d20.
Yeah, and then I have to roll 2 successes.
Well, it depends on the difficulty of the task. So in this case, the task has a difficulty of 2.
Okay.
So in that case, you needed to have at least, so if you roll 3d20 and you
Mhm.
keep it below your what was your
This game.
target number?
My target number was
So your discipline plus your attribute.
16.
16. So if you roll 3,
I rolled an 18, a 17, and a 6, so I have one.
so you have
success.
one success, right? That's how that
And if
works.
it was just like someone sitting in my med bay, that would be a success.
Probably because we might not even roll if it's just routine.
Yeah.
It's all you only roll, and this is I just lectured about this this afternoon. You should, as a game master, you should not roll for everything.
Mhm.
You should only roll when it doesn't matter as far as the story proceeding. Like if you have to, if there's a roll and the story can't proceed because they failed a roll, you shouldn't be rolling that unless that's how you want your story. So if you start with everybody trapped in a dungeon and they have to succeed in a complicated series of rolls for them to get out, don't do it that way. Instead, say they must discover these things and let them think it out. And then once they figured them out, make that an automatic success or something. And I can tell you from experience, and Aislinn was on here as well, I've seen it hundreds of times. You literally can spend the entire day just trying to get your players out of the dungeon. It happened to me in Tolkien Moot 2, or Prod
Right.
2. They started in a dungeon under Umbar. I gave them 6 different ways to get out of that dungeon, but they all had to roll for each of the things. And they all rolled crappy. We spent the entire first day of the convention just trying to get out of the dungeon. Right? And eventually I just went, screw this, you guys figure it out. You've gotten all the pieces together you needed. You succeed. Now we can move the story on. But as long as it relied on the rolls, they literally could not succeed. And I did not set that high a bar. They just could not roll a decent roll between the entire group. They just couldn't do it.
I have to use not roll
And
a 1. then no roll a 1.
Really, I shouldn't have done it that way, right? This was a mistake on my part. I should have said, well, if they succeed no matter what, and then if they fail, maybe the dungeon's guards you hear them or something like that. right? I was being too rigid about the challenge of busting out the dungeon. Up to a certain point, that was fine. I never had seen so many bad rolls in a row. With this was Rollmaster Merp with percentile, and they could not seem to roll above a 25. I mean, it was just insane. I'd never seen it so bad.
Above a 25.
It was so bad.
They had a 75% chance.
They were fumbling all the time.
Every single one of those 6.
No. It was like 50 or 75 or whatever. But remember, there's a cross-reference chart for success in Merp.
Yeah.
It's a little different. But no, they literally could not roll above a 25. In fact, what they kept rolling was 1 through 4, which is fumbles, which then you roll again to go negative.
Yeah.
Which is what they kept doing. They kept rolling like 1 through 4, and they could not roll above 25. So anyway, the point is, if it's critical for the story to keep going, and failure is not an option for the story to go the way you want it, don't roll. You can fake roll. You can be behind the screen going, roll for me. Okay, yeah. Fake roll all you want. But don't rely on the dice for all the decision making.
You just got a 19 and a 20, didn't you?
But do roll when you don't know what it is, and it will be interesting whether they win or lose. Either way is an interesting result. Then you do roll.
I might be okay at this game.
What is her name? Wool. Annual.
That's good score.
She has relics and rarities, along with her actress type thing she does. But she does relics and rarities. She has a house rule that, as the GM, when you're trying to do a perception check, rather than you rolling the dice and going, "Oh, I rolled a nat 20," and you tell me I don't see anything. Meta-wise, I know there's nothing to see. So our house rule is that she will roll. If you want her to, she'll roll it for you. That way, you don't know what the dice was. She just has it conceded.
Well, and I told you how I used to run games as a paid
You rolled
GM.
all the dice.
I've been a paid GM since '83. To speed up the game and people get more immersed because they didn't have to sit and calculate it, I did all the dice rolls except for very critical ones. Everything was behind the screen, like AD&D edition, whatever. I was able to calculate the number on the table because I did it all the time, right? I was running 3 groups a weekend, 6 to 8 hours a session. These were different days, and I could just do it so much faster than each of them slowed down the game. And everybody wanted the game to go. And what they found was they enjoyed the game more because they focused less on the meta stats and much more on the story. And then I just give them the result of success or failure. And the advantage of that for the GM, besides adding to potentially the immersion, because you're not having to switch into math mode, is that if I needed to fudge it to keep the story going, they're none the wiser. And again, you want to keep that to a minimum. You don't want to do too much of that. But there are times like, there's no reason, like it doesn't for the story for them to die right now. But there were times where it was critical, where I'd go, this makes or breaks it, guys. After 6 months of adventuring, this is the one big moment, right? Whether you succeed or fail, here you go.
You keep that dice over there. I know how.
And hand the die to the person and let them roll. And that's the big, and everybody's like, ooh, right? It creates tension and it makes the dice roll really meaningful. It works beautifully then. I lost them already.
Yes.
Wouldn't put it past me. Traits, advantages, and complications will do one of the following things. The trait would not impact the task and does not have any effect. The trait is beneficial and allows the task to be attempted when it might normally be impossible. The trait is beneficial and reduces the difficulty of the task by 1. The trait is detrimental and increases the difficulty of the task by 1. The trait is detrimental. It either prevents the task from being attempted when it might normally be possible, or means the situation now requires a task when one would not normally be required. Advantages. An advantage is a trait which is inherently positive or beneficial and which will never have a detrimental effect to its owners. Complications. A complication is a trait which is inherently negative or problematic and which will never have a beneficial effect on its owner. Task difficulty. Unless otherwise noted, most tasks have a basic difficulty of 1. Though more routine or straightforward tasks may have a difficulty of 0, and more complex or problematic tasks will have higher difficulties. After this, the Game Master then considers if there are any other factors in the current scene or environment, or affecting the characters involved, that would alter the basic difficulty. So, we got pages and pages of rules to read, right? Let's see if the adventure walks us through or not, so that we're not sitting here just front end loading the rules. So what's one of the big rules I've trained all of you guys to not do when introducing people in our drop-ins?
Do
Do not
front-end
exceed
load.
what?
5 minutes.
Yeah, talk about the rules for no more than 5 minutes. If you can do less than that, the goal is start the adventure within 5 minutes of sitting down. That is what people want.
I can't see the time. I was gonna look
For
to
what?
see how long we've been.
It's 6:58.
Oh,
we got
so
a late start, but we're a good half hour. Okay.
Yeah,
As
very
far
good
as the
half
streaming time, we were pre-streaming, so that doesn't help. None of that helps.
hour. Oh, yeah.
Can't tell. Recording
we're-
time, 47 minutes. We've been recording for 47 minutes.
So that's
So at
probably
least 20,
30
minutes of just rules.
Mhm.
And we're still not through them at all.
Have
right?
we
There's
introduced
pages and pages.
ourselves?
I did. I guess not. Let's do the round. Hawk Robinson.
John Wilker.
Daniel Ivy.
Danielle Whitworth.
At 6:59 p.m. on May 19th, 2019. It's okay. Totally out of order, but oh well.
When we go
Words
to
all
look
mixed up.
through
Bulky
this.
attack words. So, and I went all out. I don't normally do the whole cosplay.
You do when you're the computer.
I do with paranoia. I do get the glow going, which I swear was like giving me a burn.
Oh yeah, you were sunburning over there.
It didn't last though. It was gone the next day.
It
was just flushing my cheeks or something, my Irish skin or something. I didn't get a sunburn. It was
What's
gone
up
the
with-
next day.
What are the contraindicators for blue light? Besides sleep deprivation and stuff like that.
All right, so in here is the adventure Star
Oh.
Beyond the Stars starter campaign. But
Some beauty gurus use blue light to remove blemishes, and it causes a red effect.
oh,
Mhm.
but it wasn't blue light; it was violet.
Oh yeah.
It would do like day glow stuff. You
Yeah.
would see at
There's
the laser
different
tag
hues
place.
that people use to remove
Black
different
light. It's a
types
black
of.
light.
Yeah.
You see at a raid.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So this has 4 parts to it. One is the introduction campaign overview. 2 is part 1, the Alcubierre, which is the ship. Part 3, chapter 3, part 2, We Are Not Ourselves. Chapter 4, part 3, The Pierced Veil. There are, as I said, about 60 pages. Okay. Subspace interference. Okay, so we've got a whole vessel status unknown, whole control panel thing on the next page. Again, nothing actually useful. Campaign overview, next page. Again, very beautiful layout and everything. They'll probably win awards for layout or something like that because people are rewarding people for that, but it doesn't help promote the game. And people have really gone way off from game experience, but we'll see. This introductory campaign provides a game master a storyline of 3 interlinked missions to launch into several sessions of Star Trek adventures. It introduces the game rules as the story develops, and is developed to be run by a novice game master as simply as possible. Want to bet as simply as possible? Bet we can make it simpler. By the 3rd mission, the game master should be familiar with the 2D20 system, able to run any Star Trek adventure missions with the help of the core rulebook. This campaign is designed to be used with the starter rules booklet, dice, tokens, and poster map included in this box set. Part 1, the Alcubierre. In their first assignment, the player characters must make contact with and recover the USS Alcubierre, a testbed for a new type of warp drive. So, look, I've been trying to hurry and binge watch the Star Trek stuff from this time. So, what's cool about this, so let's talk a little about this game. They set it in, I think, 2371, which is stardate like 4000 to 4. And it's a really good time to pick for a role-playing. It's kind of the last year of Next Generation, last couple of years of Deep Space Nine, and the first year of Voyager coming. You get all that stuff overlapping at once. The Empire's about to collapse. You got the Cassian stuff going on with the Bajorans. You've got what's going on with the Gamma Quadrant. There's a lot going on politically and very interesting. So they made a good choice as far as picking a good time that's very rich, that a GM can just take off in many directions and hear about all these things going on and still make, lots of original events. See, the other problem with this black background, here's the number one problem with using a black background. How am I supposed to highlight stuff? Seriously. I mean, it's going to highlight the text, but it's not going to show up.
Right.
Please don't do this, okay? Please go back to white background.
Photocopy the entire book.
And then invert it or something.
Yeah.
This is just. I know it's very pretty, but this is a game, not an art book. We want it to be useful and utilitarian for a long, long time, decades and decades. Books I used since the 70s, still to this day using. So this is a rule book, not an art book. Please, I wish people would back up. And consider all the people who've had disabilities. You're really not helping them. Now, this is nowhere near as bad anywhere near as bad as Dresden Files. That wins the award for the least readable, as far as just physically unreadable book. Cool looking game, love the setting, great humor. Nobody can finish reading it so that we can GM it. First person with dyslexia took 6 months and gave up. You didn't try to get through.
No.
And Shane doesn't have any issues. I don't have any of those issues. But it is too painful to read. It's just
Shane's
such
returned
a mess.
it, hasn't he? Because he just could not read it.
I don't think he has. I think he's still trying.
Okay.
But I think he's about to give up. So the default setting for Star Trek Adventures is the year 2371. Star dates 48000 to 48999. Not limited to that, but that is what it's on. And there's already a lot of supplement material already. Half a dozen material already out. The game hasn't been out that long. So they're really cranking out the material nicely. And there's more advanced rules in here which might relate to behavior modification. So after we get through the basics, we might still want to go the advanced route to get a better feel beyond just Federation rules and such. I saw some hints of it, but
Otherwise, you'll just be arrested because that's wrong.
Right. Well, that's just problematic. If you have to rely on the police, stormtroopers, whatever, it's bad to stop bad behavior. We've got game system problems.
Stormtroopers?
If it's Star Wars, I'm just using an example of
They're
police.
the police.
Yeah.
So in Star Wars, there's nothing to stop you from playing dark side. There's no real consequences other than story consequences that makes it seem like the DM's trying to control you, rather than the rules giving consequences to your action.
And in the setting that we were looking at, it was almost implied you had to be a bad guy because you're all smugglers and thieves and.
Yeah. So problematic as far as working with that. Again, regular populations, go ahead and play evil characters. The groups don't last. I've done many experiments with evil groups, and the only evil groups that last are those that have a lawful evil leader that everybody else is willing to follow as a dictator. Those groups last. If there's any dissension in the ranks, they don't last. 6 months is pretty good for a non-lawfully. Time and time again. Always turn on each other or go off and do it. Because that's the nature of evil, is that selfishness. So, all right, synopsis. The Alcubierre. The player characters receive an urgent assignment from Starfleet Command. Recover the USS Alcubierre, a science vessel testing an experimental engine system. And I had forgotten all about this. This is very interesting. This is a very environmental thing they put in. You remember the episode where they found out that in certain areas, if you went above warp 5, it was destroying subspace and it was going to destroy planets.
They actually had to put a speed limit in.
Yeah, so it's totally an environmental episode thing, right? Because they're talking about we have to come up with alternative means of power and transportation. We have to stop advancement. We got to roll everything back. So this is related to that episode, and that you can't go above warp 5 except for emergencies and very specific. Everybody stop traveling. So we set a space speed limit. That's what happens. Which I don't know how many of you remember why there was a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit for decades. What?
Fuel shortages?
Part of it. What were the arguments they used?
Less pollution.
Safety. They said it was safety. Didn't quite work out that way statistically. It does exponentially. As far as speed, when you have a collision, yeah, every 5 miles per hour, you exponentially the force and such that happens. Yes. But as far as accidents that happen and flow and all these other things, didn't hold up. So in the 90s, they started.
More accidents.
It just didn't hold up to the claims of making it safer. So they started ripping all that away in the 90s and such when it was changed. It's all in the U.S., of course. And then things have kind of settled more around the 75 range. That's kind of where people have settled. Anyway, the number one reason was trying to work on EPA fuel requirements. The new emissions laws of 74 onward, you could not pass the emissions at higher speeds than the new laws. So by setting everything to 55, the cars could pass the emissions EPA standards that were necessary. There was this long ripple effect of laws causing this. And then Nevada was the last one to give in because they had all the gambling money. Didn't care if they didn't have the federal money for their roads during years. They finally gave it. So everybody, everywhere from one end of the country to the other was 55 for a long time. After the 90s, that changed. But it was all because of the gas crisis and the environmental stuff in Jimmy Carter and all. Had that ripple. So this has some historical context for those who didn't know. So the science vessel's testing an experimental engine system designed to exceed warp 5 without damaging subspace. All communications with the ship were lost 1 week ago. Okay, this is all a synopsis of what will happen. It's the mission's designed to be an introduction to see. Again, I would love to be able to highlight the parts I'm supposed to read aloud to the players because it's not very clear. There are sections that does say read this aloud, but there's other parts I'd like to be able to highlight and then just excerpts. Can't do it with this black back. Effective way. I can stick post-its and other things in those and stuff, but just be able or pencil it. The mission is designed to be an introduction to Star Trek Adventures for those who are new to the STA game or role-playing games in general. STA. So here, that's the Spokane Transit Authority.
Or San Francisco Transit.
Instructions on game mechanics, such as how tasks work, suggestions on using determination for players, and spending threat for game masters are included throughout. This is also the first of 3 linked adventures that can be played together as a short campaign. Directives. In addition to the Prime Directive, the directives for this mission are: recover the missing Oberth-class starship USS Alcubierre. So Oberth class is O-B-E-T-H. Alcubierre is A-L-C-U. Alcubierre is A-L-C-U-B-I-E-R-R-E. So that's Directive 1, in addition to the Prime Directive. Everybody remember what the Prime Directive is?
Nope,
Don't interfere in lesser technology societies, basically. Stay out of other... Unless they're part of the Federation and stuff, we're not supposed to get involved in other...
They're not part of our technology.
Yeah, we don't want to influence them.
So, Directive 1, recover the ship.
Recover the ship. Number 2, prevent Starfleet technology from falling in enemy hands. So, recover the ship. Failing that, fall back to the other one. So, as a game master, I will begin each session with 2 points of threat for each player character in the group. The players will begin each session with a single point of determination. I'm assuming these counters have something to do with threat.
Yeah, it says determination start with 1.
So hopefully it will tell us how to do that without in the game. Hopefully without me having to read all the rules.
So then we're
if it doesn't tell me how to do that, like what I'm afraid is I'm gonna have to go back through the whole rules manual to figure out what to get you. Smart design is the game tells me start the game, hand these out to each of the players. Set these aside for yourself. That's the proper way to teach something new to somebody. Something.
How much stress do we start off with? Did you say?
A determination.
Okay.
Single point of
1.
determination. Scene 1, in unclaimed space. The same way the captain's log introduces many Star Trek episodes, a log entry in the game sets the stage for the adventure to come. When you're ready, read the captain's log aloud to your players. So this part is blocked out, but it is harder to read because it's a kind of a pink, and so it's harder to read. It's less contrast from black.
Salmon.
Salmon.
All right. Captain's log. Stardate 4751. Remember, those microphones are hot, so nobody can hear when we're both talking at the same time. So just Captain's log. Stardate 47515.4. We are in the remote Elacona sector, investigating the disappearance of the USS Alcubierre. After 3 days in this unpopulated region of space, we found a promising lead. Hours ago, long-range sensors detected a vessel and the presence of subspace interference. The ship is several parsecs outside Federation territory. The Alcubierre was on special assignment, testing new engine systems designed to exceed Warp 5 without damaging subspace. I can only surmise that something went terribly wrong with the experiments. So, the remote Elicona sector. Do we know where that is? Can you find it on there? As the player's ship approaches the Alcubierre's coordinates, set the scene by reading the following aloud. Now again, normally the GM wouldn't read it aloud, but we are sharing with everybody this process. So that's why we pierce the veil, if you will, because it's part of the training process for Once in visual range of the Oberth-class starship, you see no signs of external damage. Still, the science vessel is adrift. All attempts of establishing communication go unanswered. The localized subspace interference scrambles sensor scans and renders transporters inoperable. But you need answers. Is anyone alive over there? What happened to them and their ship? Your only recourse is to send an away team in a shuttlecraft. So, that whole block there could have been roleplay. We could have said, okay, you see the ship adrift. What do you do? Oh, well, you try sensor scans. All right. There seems to be problems with your sensor scans are all scrambled. Your science officer says, yes, because of the localized subspace interference, sensor scans aren't going to role played through all this.
What's the name of the system?
Elicona sector.
E-L?
Elicona. Unpopulated region of space. That's all I have so far. So then you guys could have tried to test. Now you guys could have said, well, let's beam on over. And then the question is, do you just beam on over, or do you beam test products over first to make sure it's safe because of the local subspace interference? Right, but you may not have thought of that. You might have beamed over the crew and all died. Or at least when you tried to do the transporting, the transporters just refused to work. But we could have role played through. Okay, assemble away team. Everybody go to transporters. Sorry, I can't get a lock. I can't get it to work in subspace, right? We could role play through that process. It doesn't do that, but it would have been very easy to just take that blurb there and role play for half an hour, just discovering instead of telling, showing what this situation is like.
They're overcomplicated.
What's that?
They're overcomplicated.
No, they're summarizing, getting you straight into the action. I'm arguing you could have just started with the action right away.
But
by
the
breaking these
problem
into
with
small
that
pieces.
is what we run into with our community programs. When you start not in action and you don't give them a good enough hook,
Sure.
Well,
yeah, no, I agree. For beginners not knowing what to do, it's better to just summarize it and jump in. I agree. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying if we were doing our own campaign and such, we could stretch this out to a lot more just from that one paragraph. I don't have to read it aloud. I would just role play through with you guys. That's the opposite of a starter kit. This is appropriate for a starter kit. So you need answers. So you guys decided the only recourse is to send an away team in a shuttlecraft. So now it says to me, inform the players that the heavy subspace interference generated by the Alcubierre is a location trait that affects them while aboard their own vessel in the following ways. Subspace interference. Sensor scans and communications cannot penetrate this interference. This prevents your characters. See, it says that this is a mistake. This prevents the players from performing tasks related to their ship's sensors. Really? You guys are controlling the ship sensors?
So sorry.
Your characters are doing this.
Oh.
It's not preventing. Is this going to prevent you guys? This subspace interference going to prevent you guys from communicating with each other?
Well, I think she has some subspace interference. The rest of us can communicate fine.
Certainly coming down here as her butt dial was making.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's all right. We're just teasing. I hope you're taking it, not upsetting you. Okay, good.
I'm used to being picked on.
Oh, we're not picking on. You didn't do anything wrong. Your phone butt dial. It happens to all of us.
I'm really surprised.
And what's funny is it butt dial Jitsi. That's what's really unusual.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why.
Because that's where you last connected by.
I clicked on my my device and it was like, I'm not talking to you, and I'm like, okay.
Talk to that.
I clicked the power button. It was like, man, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, whatever.
Talk to the butt.
So, prevents players from performing tasks related to their ship's sensors. This means the players will not be able to scan the vessel for life signs. Since they cannot acquire a sensor lock, they will not be able to use the transporters to beam over an away team. Finally, the player's ship will not be able to communicate with anyone on board the Alcubierre, including any away team. When on the science vessel, an away team will suffer other effects from this trait as detailed later in this adventure. So, plotting a course. Since the players cannot use the transporters, they will need to take a shuttle to the Alcubierre. To pilot a shuttlecraft, the players will need to first plot a course. So,
Ding, 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 ding,
who
ding,
of
ding,
you thinks you should plot the course? Who has the best? It's going to be reason plus con task. So who of you would like to do that?
I have a.
Now, this is
15.
very, very meta, right? We don't like heavy meta in a game,
I have a 12.
but
I have a 15.
it's what they're asking for.
I have a
Shoot.
first officer. I feel like it would know my ship. Do we have a tractor beam?
It doesn't even tell us what ship you're on.
It's the
USS
Magellan.
Magellan.
Oh, you're on the Magellan? I don't know. Look at your stats.
Does not mention tractor beam. Why wouldn't we have a tractor beam? Everybody has a tractor beam.
Tractor beam. Strength 5.
Okay.
I have no idea what it means.
Okay.
Give it a shot.
How large is the ship that is it the same size as our ship or is it smaller? I'm assuming if it's my thought is if it's experimental.
Looks like this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's a whole bunch of numbers, but it doesn't tell me what all the numbers mean. It's just for artistic purposes. Somewhere
What
in
class
here,
is it?
somewhere Oberth class. So somewhere in here, there's probably
It looks like a galaxy,
sheet.
so it should probably be bigger.
I'm checking my tricorder here.
Chief engineer, can you check to see if we can tow this thing out of the danger zone? So we
Checking
don't have
now.
to put ourselves at risk.
By the way, I'm an oenologist, which means I know how to make wine. It's on my character sheet. Right. Spell that class.
We all have to have our hobbies. Oberth, Oberth.
Well, I'm gonna butcher this because I can never remember how to say it. I have been on my journey, and it's called Kolinkar.
Are you Vulcan?
Yeah.
Now you said it. It's gonna
You want
I
to
know
see
this.
it?
No, it's the Vulcan coming of every 7 years you've been
Yeah.
through. It's the coming of age and it's puberty, and then it's every 7 years.
It's KOLINAHR.
Laser bank. Reflective field.
Kolinar.
Kolinar.
Kolinar, yeah.
It's a small Federation starship used primarily by Starfleet and civilian scientists alike
Right.
as a scout class science vessel.
Right.
So it is smaller than our ship.
Mhm.
The question is, can I use my tractor? Can you use
Yeah,
a tractor
tractor
beam
beam
to
to
just
pull.
to basically do BAAA?
Give it a shot.
Mhm.
How do you want to handle that?
I'm going to try and I want to check to see if we can enable it. I want to analyze if we're able to do this first.
Well, I got
Okay.
the
Or
whole plan.
attempt.
How do you want to do that?
I'm going to ask my experts and try and
Okay.
rely on my own ability. So I'm guessing that would be insight and engineering.
As the engineer, I'm probably really good. I got a 14.
Yeah, insight plus engineering seems a good way to go.
So you two are talking it over.
Yeah.
What's the viability of us being able to do that?
With a small ship, unless there's some obstruction, we should be able to pull it.
We have a tractor being spread out.
Roll your
5.
insight plus engineering.
So we got to roll below it.
Well, no. So we have. What is your? Is we have to calculate the number you have to roll above to figure out the number of successes. So what is your insight plus your engineering.
14. That's
14.
roll below
So you
that.
got to roll above. Yeah, you got to roll below the 14 or less.
By the way, I'd like to use my advisor. Whenever you assist one other character using your command discipline, the character being assisted, they reroll 1d20.
Cool. So they get advantage basically.
Mm-hmm.
And this is only a difficulty task of 1, so you just need to succeed with 1.
Okay. Plus, since this is a small craft, and I have a focus on small craft, that should be relevant.
Not to this.
Theory, some tasks using engineering or science. I can roll an additional die 20 as long as I completed a previous task.
Overanalyzing, please just roll so we can move along.
All right, so I've gotten 1 success.
All we need.
Reroll 1. Because of
But you only need 1 to succeed.
Yeah.
12. So we have 2
Okay.
successes.
You realize that the subspace interference that's causing the problems with communications and transporters will also make it impossible to track.
Okay.
So you can
Cannot get a
see
lot.
that we were able to role play through.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it actually says, so that little snippet I read is a summary for the GM, but it didn't say that.
Yeah.
And it's in the same color as the captain's log. I wasn't supposed to read that aloud, is what I'm now gleaning from it. Because now it's going into have them try to do this and have them try to do that. After that section, it didn't tell me. Well, no, it says, no, never mind. It says read it aloud. It says, as the player ship approaches the Alcubierre's coordinates, set the scene by reading the following aloud. So I read all that summary that tells you all the things that don't work, and then it says have them try to do it.
What?
Maybe they mean try to find a way around the problem, because they might be able to take a shuttle.
That's what the
whole
module
point is you
wants.
got to get on the shuttle and get on there. That's the whole setup for this. Anything else try to do that is going to be thwarted. No matter what you come up with, this is a beginner adventure. You're going to be railroaded. You're not going to
Railroad.
get to shortcut it. And that's where John, you never let that happen like the kid did.
Right.
You put the obstacles in the way to stop him from doing that. So he had a kid playing Doctor Who. He did the entire multi-session adventure like in half a session because he went straight to where the one that would just end. And
He's
so
like,
whenever you see that starting to happen, you add obstacles to help redirect them and make them do the other stuff they're supposed to do. It's part of railroading. It's part of your job as a facilitator. Now, in an ongoing campaign, that's not a big deal. But if you have a set amount of time that the game must last, you do not want to be done in 45 minutes because you have 3 hours. So if you're a billable, professional GM, you got to make sure they're having fun for a full 3 hours. You have to railroad them one way to make sure they play it long enough, and railroad them the other way to make sure that they finish in time. Now, you want the illusion that they're not being railroaded, but you have to do it to different degrees. And it's a combination of railroad and training wheels for beginners, and then making it appear to be a sandbox where really the active world is guiding them, less railroading, but guiding them so that things will wrap up. So in this case, to save you time, Dan, because I know you love to outsmart these things, as Mr. Tactician guy, don't even bother.
Yeah.
Everything you try, the ultimate thing is you got to put an away team together, get on a shuttle, and then we play from there.
Away team.
I'm going to set up my away team and be a part of the away team. I'm going to
Because you're not the commanding officer, you're the first officers. You can go on an away team. The captain's not supposed to go on an away team.
Okay.
But they do it all the
First officer.
time.
You'd be surprised how little Jean-Luc Picard actually went on away teams, because Riker made that very clear from day one. From day one, like the captain is not supposed to. They were trying to make the point about what Kirk did. Kirk did it all the time, and it's totally against
That's
standard
exactly why I'm
SOP. Yeah, Kirk did
I've
it all
mostly watched Kirk.
Right. Well, Kirk
Captain.
violated all the rules. He violated. Remember, the Prime Directive wasn't even really. It's because of Kirk that the Prime Directive is so heavily enforced, because he's going his way of impregnating the universe and everything.
he was a bard.
Yeah, a lot of the rules of the Federation are because of Kirk being so chaotic. Yeah, no. If you watch Next Generation, and all the others, but especially Next Generation, Jean-Luc does not get to go on that many away teams. It's Riker and everybody else, and most of the time. Now, when he does go, is like specific political situations, or when they're convinced there's no danger, and then they usually wrong. But they're right. It's not. It's like It's an established thing. They've gone to their Federation space station. So, of course, he went off the ship. No big deal, right? But for unknown situations that were high risk, captain is never supposed to leave the ship. He's supposed to send a separate away. Investigate. So, but that would often be for important missions led by the first officer. It's a critical mission.
So I'm gonna establish an away team and lead it.
Okay.
You. Come on, let's go.
So I obviously looked up the technical data for the Alberth class ships on my tricorder because, as an engineer, that's what I would do. The crew complement is 80, but capable of operating with a minimum complement of 5.
Okay.
What is the crew complement of the on record?
That would be a good question. That would be an
I only
log.
have what they give me here.
Right. They should have given you the crew complement.
You'll figure out the log once we get there.
And if we're trying to rescue a ship, we should know how many bodies we're trying to bring back.
Well, I think you're just going to have to find out as you go through.
Okay.
Because, again, remember, I'm not pre-reading everything like they told me to do.
Right.
Because it's supposed to be a starter adventure. I should be able to jump straight in and play.
Okay.
And you guys are supposed to be new players rather than experienced players trying to outsmart them.
I'm not trying to outsmart the GM.
Yeah, but
I'm
you're-
trying to play my character.
Well, you're trying to get a lot more information than beginner players would probably ever ask. So
Since
just
your
keep that in
business is
mind.
done.
As experienced players, we tend to ask a lot more questions than they.
Are your phasers set on stun?
I am stunning.
I said your phasers, not you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, if you want the
Always.
backstory, since you're asking, here's the backstory of the Alcubierre, because this will all be documented.
Okay,
So I'm assuming you'll share this with your away team.
of course.
This would
You
be the
find the
debriefing.
backstory of the USS Alcubierre below, including what the ship. Oh no, never mind. This is all.
This is what happened.
This is all the GM. See, but it's in the same color that I'm supposed to read aloud. But this is the synopsis of why everything happened. You don't know this yet. Okay, if you're going to color code them, have
Color
some
code 'em.
sense to it that one color is read aloud, another color is GM's notes only. Sidebar, if you want, that's fine, and they have that in a different color. But don't mix the read aloud and GM's notes with the same color. That's an even bigger mistake. Again, if I was on white paper here, I could highlight which parts to read and not read aloud. Preparing ahead, whatever. I can't do that on here, so I'm relying on your color coding, and your color coding is confusing me between what to read aloud and not read aloud, because starting out it says read aloud, and it's the pink text to read aloud. It says. Then it gives me this big, huge block in the same color text, pink text, but is clearly, as I read it, not for you. It's what you guys are supposed to figure out, but it's GM's information. Immediate player info. Over time, you guys don't mix the two, people. Please, come on. All right.
Is there any thing stopping us from navigating the
Vast space between us.
between the away team to dock with the ship?
So again, this is going to walk you through the process of doing this. So step number 1, as I asked before, is plotting a course. The reason plus con with the difficulty of 1. Who is going to plot the course for your space shuttle? Your shuttle
Oh,
craft.
it probably is the engineer, just
15.
because of engineer.
I've got 13.
Anybody better than 15?
I've got 11.
Engineer it is.
Okay.
Now, if we were using the other character, I'm sure, because that's the actual pilot, that would have been the... Yeah, that's a pilot person.
Yeah.
So, 15...
So you're driving this engineer.
Well, this is just plotting the course.
Plotting the course. And astrophysics, power system, multi-drive...
This is reason plus con task.
I'm just thinking my focus is qualified, like in astrophysics or something like that. I have advantage on engineering department, which represents the ship's complement of engineers and technicians. Okay, I have a 6 and a 19, so only 1 successful.
Okay, that's all you needed. Plotting the course can be assisted by the shuttle. Ask one of the other players to make the assist roll for the shuttle, rolling a d20. The target number is computers plus con.
Oh,
See
there's that one.
shuttlecraft sidebar below. To add to the shuttle's successes to see the results. The main character must score at least 1 success. So this is again just
The
kind of
ship
walking you
is
through the
computers
process.
plus con.
Why is your hand on the microphone?
Oh, I don't know. I keep
Because
feeling like I'm gonna.
But that's going to make all kinds of noise. phone.
Okay.
Peter's plus con is 13. One success on the chip.
Okay, great. So between him and him, you have successes.
Yeah.
Okay, result of the roll. The task is successful if the number of successes equals or exceeds the difficulty number. If the player scored the one success they needed for this task, they plot the course and can proceed to piloting the shuttle. If they generate more successes than they need, these become momentum to spend. In this case, the players might use momentum to buy more dice for the next task of piloting the shuttle. Or if they have 2 momentum available, they could spend it to create an advantage, reducing the difficulty of the next piloting task by 1. If the player rolls a natural 20, this creates a complication. In this scene, a complication could increase the difficulty of the next shuttle piloting task by 1, or you could instead choose to add 2 points to the threat pool for use later. If the task is successful, read the following aloud, and it's once again in pink. You've calculated the best course to the Alcubierre's docking port. Adjusting for the attitude and rotation rate of the silent ship, using your calculations, the pilot departs the shuttle bay for the science vessel. All right. So do you guys want to... Because you got one extra, we're saying, because we did the assist and stuff. Although we might be being a little loosey-goosey. That might be only if he had the extra. But let's just say, because you were assisting him, we got the extra one, because we want to learn this momentum system.
Yeah.
Right.
So you've
So we
got
have
an
one
extra
momentum.
point. So if they generate more successes they need, these become momentum to spend. Any idea which of these tokens is momentum? I'm assuming it's the Federation ones, as opposed to the red alert threats. But I
Right.
don't really know. I haven't come across anything that tells me yet
There's no.
which is which. But I will assume that this is momentum for the moment.
And
And I
have
will
momentum.
assume that these are threats for them.
Okay.
And what did it say at the beginning of this adventure? We all start with one
Determination.
One determination.
determination, and
And
the
it
GM,
has a
I start with 2 points of threat. So I got 2 points of threat out here. But again, I don't know if it's supposed to be public or behind the screen. Again, if you read through the whole rules, I'm sure it would tell me that. That's not supposed to be the point of a starter set. You should be able to jump in and start playing right away. And that's what we're trying to do. All right. So now, and it is walking us through, so that's good. It's walking us through, so that's not too bad. It just shouldn't, they shouldn't tell us read all the rules first. It should tell us go in here and we'll walk you through and handle. So it's trying to do that. It's a little hit or miss, but it's trying. Piloting the shuttle. With the course plotted, it's time to pilot the shuttle. Ask one of the players to attempt a control plus con task assisted by the shuttle's engine plus con with a difficulty of 1. If the players created advantage in the previous task, reduce the difficulty to 0. Now you guys did not get 2 momentum, so you couldn't spend it to make an advantage. So you only have 1 momentum. So you do not have an advantage, so you don't reduce task difficulty. It's still a 1. So who wants to do the control plus con task and then assisted by the engines plus con?
I'm at 11.
I'm at a 10.
So you're at
That's control plus con?
Yeah.
Okay, and who's doing the engines plus con?
engines plus number. Probably.
And
That's the ship.
So that's probably the commanding officer for
That's
the unit.
12. So you want him to roll it again, or the
Well,
engineer?
roll the first one and then roll that.
11 and 5. So
So
2
2
successes.
Successes, okay, and then go ahead and roll for the ship as well.
1 success.
Okay, so you got 3 successes, so you got 2 extras there. So assuming, again, we're intentionally being a little loosey-goosey here, just to see what happens with the point system. So you got 2 more momentum, I think. We will see how that unfolds.
Does it matter who goes on? Like, is it the ship's momentum or my momentum, or do we all share them?
No idea.
Okay.
And maybe I'm supposed to hold them. Maybe I'm supposed to have them here threat momentum versus threat. I don't know. But we're just saving them up to see what happens. Because hopefully, I'm assuming at some point it will tell us what we can. Difficulty 0 tasks automatically succeed, so the player does not need to roll to make the attempt. But since 0 successes are needed, every success will generate momentum. So even if there was a 0, you would still potentially roll to gain momentum. Remind the players that this might be a great way to add to their momentum pool at the start of the mission. Remember, players can have no more than 6. Okay, no more than 6 momentum in their group pool.
Group pool.
Group pool. Everybody in the pool. Nobody pee in the pool.
Too late.
Aww.
Arriving at the Alcubierre. Once they've succeeded piloting the shuttle, read aloud the following to the players. I'm glad it's breaking that out at least. As your shuttlecraft nears the disabled Alcubierre, the main shuttle bay doors mysteriously open. You adjust your heading away from the docking port and safely land. The doors close behind you, and you hear the hissing of the bay pressurizing. Apart from two of the Alcubierre's own shuttles, the bay is empty, lit only by flickering emergency lights. The bay feels eerily deserted. This is the end of the scene. As each scene ends, remove 1 point of momentum from Scene 2. Aboard the Alcubierre. Now that the player characters are aboard the Alcubierre, tell the players that the vessel has the following location traits. See, okay, I get this for maybe introduction, but I would not do this in an ongoing campaign. It's telling me to tell you what the problems will be, instead of you learning them through showing. Right? We much prefer learning through showing rather than just tell you everything. Because it's got 3 things here I'm supposed to just tell you.
Okay.
And
Still have your tricorder standard area.
well, you're still inside the thing, but so I'm supposed to tell you, subspace interference away team. Comm badges will not work due to this interference. Tricorders only function on people and objects within reach, arm's length of a player character. You should discover that through roleplay. I shouldn't tell you
And
the
they're
meta
just gonna
of this.
tell you to have us roleplay it.
No, it says.
No, after this.
Oh, like last time. You know, it says, tell the players that the vessel has the following location traits. Subspace interference awaiting. Emergency lighting. This trait increases the difficulty by 1 for ranged weapon attacks and tasks to observe, identify characters or objects at medium range and beyond. Number 3, disabled. Most ship systems are offline. This affects turbolifts, doors, transporters, sensors, communications, replicators, warp, and impulse engines. Life support and other vital functions are operational via auxiliary power. You should discover all of that. That should be part of the adventure discovery, yes.
So, really quickly, I'm looking on the character sheet, right?
Yes.
And my equipment is comm badge, tricorder, and med kit.
Yep.
And then I have attacks of unarmed strength and phaser type 1.
Okay.
I don't
Phasers.
have a phaser.
No, I think you assume you have a phaser.
Well,
In
he
the
has to issue those for the away team.
So you don't actually carry a phaser.
Yeah, you never carry.
It's right there.
You never. Did anybody else have a phaser in your standard equipment?
Nobody has to.
Right. So the first officer is supposed to
What?
issue, if he believes there's a threat,
That's here.
away team equipment. Now, it
First
didn't
officer.
say any of that in here, so
Yeah.
you didn't know any better. You're a new player. You didn't know any better.
So
You're bringing this up after you guys have already transported. Now you're going, oh crap, I don't have a phaser.
There should be phasers
Oh, well.
on board here. You should be able to.
Doesn't tell me any of that. I'm a new GM. I've never played this before. You're new players. You never played this before. It never occurred to you. Nobody's saying before you left.
No, and
You had plenty of time.
I'm looking at
Yep.
this going,
That's okay.
what?
Just play with it. This is we're pointing out the flaws and strengths and weaknesses, etc.
Beaten up by
Good
Klingons.
point, though.
Yeah, I'll beat you up for free.
It's almost like they're treating the players like actors.
What do you mean? Like
It says that it
you're
says,
scripting?
yeah, it tells you to tell them what's going on, and then it tells you to roleplay. So it's like it's giving you a script.
GM, what is my motivation?
Yeah. It does kind of seem like that, doesn't it?
Motivation is your paycheck.
So my bills.
So after after that list, it then says as the player. Okay, so now do you guys exit the shuttle?
Does the shuttle have phasers on it?
Doesn't say anything about it, so I'm going to say no.
I'm going to turn on the headlights.
Oh wait, hang on. There is a little block right here for shuttlecraft. Again, it's so artsy. I kind of missed it with all the other artsy stuff. It's hard to know what to pay attention to. There's an awful lot of white noise on here. There's whatever, I don't know. Shuttlecraft systems, comms, computers, engine, sensors, structure, weapons, nothing. Departments, command, con, security, engineering, science, nothing, medicine, nothing. Power 3, shields 3, scale 1, resistance 1, crew 1 or 2 plus 6 passengers. So it's important to know that limit. It says nothing about weapons or equipment.
Turn on the headlights.
Okay.
Flood the area.
Yeah, I'm gonna
All right.
flood the area
Do
with.
you exit the shuttle?
Can we see properly with the headlights on?
Well, you're just in the shuttle bay ahead of you.
Can I run this shuttle sensor with immediate vicinity for
Mike?
atmosphere, poisons, gases? You know, the standard test look for traps.
I'm gonna deploy the canary.
You don't see anything. Your sensors don't seem to be able to reach more than a foot away from you. This shuttle.
Yeah, so it
they
should still be able to tell
it's
us.
a breathable atmosphere within a foot of
Yes, it is breathable atmosphere.
and no radiation within a foot of the shuttle.
Nothing that is detectable.
So we don't
with
need to put it
your
on a
non-science vessel.
I'm gonna park the shuttle in the closest non-handicapped parking
You already landed it. All right, you guys gonna
Yeah.
open the door and exit?
Do we want to?
Is that a yes or no? You're the
Yes.
commanding
Asking
officer,
the
so
commander.
act like the commanding officer.
Lights are on. Try to stick together. Let's head out. If you guys notice anything odd, let us know.
Don't let us know. You're gonna stay in the shuttle ground.
No. We're all going to move out as one.
Okay. All right. Okay. So who goes out first?
I'll go out first.
Okay. Who goes out second? This is marching order initially. Okay. Who goes out third?
I go up third because I'm a medical officer.
And who goes out fourth?
Well, I guess as the engineer, I'm turning off the keys,
Okay. All right.
setting the security lock.
As the player characters exit the shuttle, read the following aloud again in difficult to read pink. You hear the beep, beep, beep of an active console waiting for a command. It echoes throughout the shuttle bay. Beep, 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 beep.
Computer, report.
Alcubierre shuttles 1 and 2 stand empty and dark. The doors to the control room appear to be stuck half open, as if the ship's power gave out just as someone walked through them. The light of the console inside the control room reflects in the window overlooking the bay, but there's no one inside. Whoever opened the shuttle bay's outer doors is not here.
Is there any sign of a struggle by the other two?
You don't see any scoring or anything like that, or wreckage or anything.
I go open one of them if I can.
Okay, you go walk up to one of the shuttles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it has an access code.
Can I get some help with a access code?
Those are the medical officer doing this.
Medical officer is asking for help with the access code, so that means I need.
Okay, how about all of us go?
So you go to the nearest shuttle?
Yeah.
Okay.
This
All
is
right.
already unusual because all past things instead of shuttles have escape pods. But hey, you know.
Oh, what's here?
Hey, it's an experimental ship. It's going to have alterations. All right. So, what do you want to do for for the codes? You want
6.
you want a 6?
It's gonna be a difficulty of 6.
Okay.
So it's going to be
That's how many successes I have to make.
yes.
So,
Without knowing what the codes are for these space shuttles, you're going to have a really, really, really difficult time.
so at most I can get 4 successes. Well, actually, I can get more than that because when I succeed on a test, we probably will just.
I'm trying to not so subtly
And
steer you in the right direction.
Okay.
About the way of getting into a shuttle if you don't know the codes is almost impossible.
Let's see if we can
or it takes really time consuming.
Let's see if we can pull up the code from the we'll hope that it has
So you want to go over to the console?
Yeah.
So you walk on over to the console in the bay's control room, and it says it's a difficulty of 0. So do not ask the players to roll. Instead, tell them the following information. Again, in difficulty on black. Auxiliary controls are locked out. And by the way, it's not only pink on black, it's in italics as well.
Nice.
And small font. Auxiliary controls are locked out and rerouted to main engineering. The person who operated the shuttle bay did not do it for me. So now it says for me to invite you as the players to spend momentum on obtain information. Players can ask in a single relevant question per point of momentum spent. In this situation, one obvious question is who opened the bay doors? And then there's some possible answers to possible questions. You guys want to
You want to do the chip log?
and ask a single relevant question per point of momentum spent. So you have to spend a momentum point. And I only have 2 answers, so don't do more.
Well, we only have 2 moments.
So that works out.
Can we get the print out of the activity log for
This is a paperless environment.
Paper.
Can we get a download?
a download of the activity log? Just one.
So again,
For
I could
last-
wing it a whole bunch, but I'm
Ship
trying
log
to
is
tell
not
people
good.
what's actually here. They only give me the answers to 2 questions.
Yeah.
So some answers to possible questions. So the one obvious question is who opened the bay doors. So here are some answers to possible questions. If you want to give me a momentum point, I will give you one. That's the question. Again, railroading for the sake of teeth. The console shows that someone bypassed the lockout to operate the bay doors from the bridge. Let's spend another momentum point for additional. Okay. Oops. Command codes were not used to reroute ship systems to main engineering. At this point, read the following aloud to the players. As you study the console, the power sputters and the display dims. Before the console goes completely dark, the following message appears. Meet me in stellar cartography. I'm just whispering. Just text.
Bring up the schematics where stellar cartography is.
I go over to the map that says, yeah.
So using the display console, which I can't actually read, we figure out where stellar cartography is.
Well, that was just as it says just before the console goes completely dark.
Yeah, no, that would have to be on your
This is my
tricorder.
Oh, okay.
I have
Yeah, that's fine.
Over
That's
the
not a
plan.
problem.
Yeah.
As far as knowing where to go. Well, the first thing is you got to get through the door that's like that out of the shuttles, right? It's you can't get through it, but it's not shut either.
the Vulcan skinny.
Not that skinny. So you guys know that to do that, you're going to have
Alright,
to
what?
use the emergency hand actuator to open the doors and exit the shuttle bay.
Okay, I remember doing
That's
that.
just, that device is stored in a wall panel near the door. The standard SOP stuff that you guys.
Yeah.
SSOP. Standard. All right, who wants to do that?
It's a strength thing, isn't it?
No.
So
It's a standard thing.
No, standard. It should be openable by anybody.
Yeah, that's what
So
I'm
we
saying.
just go to the panel.
so for some reason it tells me I can create a complication with threat. Creating a complication costs 2 threat, which I have. You can spend threat here to create a complication that makes opening the door impossible. The emergency hand actuator breaks when the players use it. Now the players will need to find another way to force open the door. Encourage them to think creatively, some options. So let's say you do it. I decided I'm going to make your life more difficult. Apparently that's what I spend the 2 threat I've got.
So we are trying to outsmart you on this one.
That's just wrong. It shouldn't be that way. All right, I'm rooting for you, even if the authors are not. All right, so you go to get the hand thing, and you start doing it, and crack, it snaps. So now you have to come up with options that might open the door. So discuss it amongst
tools
yourselves.
Are available in the bay.
Well, I have a comm badge, a tricorder, and a med kit.
Not what we're carrying a personal. We're talking repair tools, like giant spanners.
So here's the two options they list:
Okay.
forcing the door open with brute strength, or using a phaser to cut into the bulkhead and hotwire the circuitry.
But we don't
I
have
know,
a phaser.
I know. Your first officer forgot to have those issued. That's a
Fire.
standard away team.
I can use strength up today.
You gonna try to use strength?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me find a spanner to give you leverage.
This may require an object a player character can use as a lever to wedge between the two halves of the door.
Boom.
So it's a fitness plus security task with a difficulty of 3.
What happens when I assist him?
I'm gonna advise.
I have no idea.
You're gonna invite. You're gonna tell him how to do it.
What's your fitness plus security?
Mine's only a 10.
Yours?
Oh.
Fitness plus security?
11.
What's yours? Yeah.
We know you're the strongest one, but we're trying to assist him.
Yeah.
So what are you going to use? What device are you using to try to wedge, or versus him just doing brute force?
A transducer site, spanner
Where
left-handed.
did that come from?
The tools.
What tools?
We're in a shuttle bay.
Yeah.
A shuttle bay that doesn't have tools to repair shuttles
Oh,
is not an
oh.
assistant object.
I used the door that we removed for. I give him that. The one that we removed for the panel
Oh, the
for
panel
the
door?
spreader.
Okay, you had to open the panel. She's taking the door from the panel to use as a wedge. But I think there's
All right.
tools.
I
So
said
you don't have a motor pool without mechanical tools.
I'm just telling you what's in here, man. Again, I can wing it. As experienced GM, not a problem.
Yeah.
I would
Your
totally play
character
along
is
with you.
supposed to
So
be
what does
I'm
it
trying
say
to
is the
point
tool
out,
choice?
It gives you two choices: brute force. You can use something as a lever to wedge between the two halves of the door. They
But
don't give me
that's not
any
equipment, I
indicators of
don't think.
anything.
That's
Of what a
Hacks.
lever is.
Doesn't give me any
Okay,
ideas.
so it's
So I can go ahead and go with you on that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, James has a point.
Or a phaser. What?
My character has an Ushan Tor. I don't think that would need to be issued.
Because that's in the attacks
I'm not
area.
gonna try and take that thing
What's a
away
new
from him.
Shantor?
A melee weapon, apparently.
okay. Let's spell it.
USH.
Well, you are security, so it makes sense. Know what that is?
Okay,
It's like an ice
USH
cutting.
AAN
dash.
Shantor. It is a knife. It's got a ring.
Oh, it's an
Ulu with jags on
Andorian
it.
knife.
It's an Ulu.
Yeah, because remember they were into their knives. Is that a thing?
So there's a picture of it. It's basically an Ulu with teeth.
See it?
Okay. Yep. I don't think it's big enough to use in the door.
I remember that. Okay. Yeah.
Cool then.
Door?
So, yank away.
He's got a door.
I'm gonna advise
Sure.
the Sudanese.
So,
So he
to
gets-
get success, you got to have 14 or lower, and you need 3 successes.
And you can
Reroll
remove
one
one
of
of them.
Reroll that 7.
4, 7.
Wait, why did you roll?
You rolled 4 then. No, you
Or
had 4,
three.
7.
Oh, yeah.
So your
So you
score
got
is
2.
4
He
successes.
told me to reroll.
2 successes.
You got to reroll 1.
Yeah. Plus,
And you
if you
did
get
that,
another
right?
one, or no, you don't for
No.
any of your.
I'm confused with the fourth reroll. The fourth roll.
It was an accident.
Okay. So you got 2 successes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have no more.
And
Momentum
well,
points.
now the rest of you want to grab onto that door, and all the 3 of you try to help add to it. So he's going, I can't
Yeah.
move
Yeah.
it. Ugh." He gets like an inch, and then it just won't. I need help.
Yeah.
So everybody else, go ahead and grab a part of the door, try to help him. And you can hear it going,
I tried to look with my knees.
I got 1 success.
I
Okay.
got 2 12s and I need 11s.
Okay. What'd you get?
I did worse than her.
That's okay. His was the different. He only needed 1 more success.
You got a
I
20.
don't
We got
know.
a complication.
I rolled a 20.
Oh, that's a complication.
Yeah.
The
No.
complication is that the tool breaks the sap in your face.
So natural 20.
I have to use my medical kit.
So
When
how
a player rolls natural 20, this creates a complication. Okay.
get on to complication?
Yeah.
There isn't a role for assisting another to add additional
I'm
dice?
sure there is if I read through all the rules.
Okay, because it wasn't
It's
in the
not
description.
telling me in the introductory adventure how that works.
Okay,
If I read the entire rule book, which it said to do, but again, we don't think that's appropriate for a starter set. I'm sure it's in there somewhere.
Okay.
But I don't want to kill the game trying to flip through it forever, so we have to work with the parameters we're given in the adventure, and that's they're supposed to help us layer. All right, which they're kind of doing. It's a mix. So created a complication. It doesn't really tell me what to do
Maybe I step on his toe.
because it already gave me the complication of breaking the thing. Right, you broke the tool.
Right.
So it already, by spending a threat, that created a complication. It doesn't really tell me what complication it created, so I have to make up something. Which again, personally, problem with that. But we have to point these things out for this unboxing of the game. So you're all yanking away. You're yanking away. You're starting to make you've made all the difference. You can feel his is tugging it away, and you in your effort to yank it, pull it askew, and the whole thing bends sideways just enough that it stops moving. You've got an old gap about this big, which you
I
might
can fit through that.
you
The
all might
Klingon.
be able to squeeze through really tightly one by one, but it is wedged in place because he pulled it at the wrong angle.
Good thing you're in charge.
Okay, you can squeeze through. All right, you squeeze through. So
I turn on my flashlight.
The wrist light.
as you peer through and come through the side, you see scorch marks cover the corridor walls. Damaged power couplings spark beneath broken, burnt-out panels. On the deck are the dead bodies of 7 Starfleet crew.
Okay, so we know there's at least 7 on this crew.
Do they have faces on them?
Yes. Check for weapons.
Okay, well, you're all squeezing through and into the corridor. And that's
Yep.
what you
I'm in
see.
first.
That is now, let's see, examining the bodies
I would
to
do
determine
that.
what killed them
We
is
shouldn't.
okay. Examining the bodies to determine what killed them is a difficulty 0 task using insight plus medicine.
I'm in.
The wounds are consistent with the type of injuries caused by disruptor weapons.
Hang on.
Depending on what questions the players ask, spending momentum to obtain information could reveal, but you guys don't have momentum left.
But we know disruptors equal
So,
Klingon.
But
clarify.
you are medical. You can go ahead and roll.
Yeah.
Momentum gives you the automatic answer.
Okay, so let me roll because
Yeah, you have
I
got
have 3
insight
die
plus
for
medicine.
this.
Roll away.
I get 3 die for this. So
Excellent.
hopefully I can get that. And
Yeah.
it was
And I'm gonna
insight
say-
and medicine.
I'm going to say each success gives you one of the answers, the
15.
3 answers. That
And
are
I'm
on
going to
there.
Or
advise her
16.
so that she can reroll one. I'd like you to reroll that quickly.
Good idea.
All 3 are success.
Good. Then you get all 3 answers. So, you as the medical officer know, and you're going to need to relay this to them. The crew members died less than a week ago. The signature of the I guess you might know this as a medical person. The signature of the disruptors is Romulan. And the position of the bodies relative to the damage in the corridor suggests the crew members lost their lives in a fighting withdrawal to the ship. So, in your own words, relay that information.
The Romulans must have killed them because the signature is Romulan.
As your sensor.
These types of burns and up to
I'm obviously using my tricorder.
Yeah, the tricorder gives a radiation rating of.
Yeah.
That's
you've
the
got to
sensor.
have it up really close though
Yeah.
to get it.
And I'm like on top of these ones.
Based on the
There-
position, it looks like it's
They were yeah.
They're retreating to the shuttle bay.
Yeah. And they're about a week old. Dead. They're about a week dead.
What is
Less
it?
than.
Less than a week. Okay. Are there faces?
If so, I kick 2. You get 1. You got a 9.
I'm gonna be running around. Heal.
Oh, great. You got a spiel, so Hillary.
I'm gonna be running around. Heal.
Heal what? Oh, that. Okay.
I thought I was pressing my tricorder into you so that it would dispense the right amount of medicine.
Tricorders don't dispense medicine. No wonder you're a bad doctor. Your med kit has injectors. Great.
Okay, so nowhere does it tell me about any of the equipment on the bodies, but reading ahead, I'm going to say yes,
I hand
that
out a phaser
they're
as well.
scattered around on the ground, phasers. Just low end, no rifles.
I'll take a phaser.
So there's plenty. There's 7 bodies, there's 7 phasers.
I'm setting my second phaser to explode.
Right now?
Well, I'm just getting it. One more twitch, and then it'll start charging up for explosion.
Alright.
I need a grenade.
So, what are you guys going to do?
Each person gets a phaser. You get an extra one.
Security makes sense.
Uh-huh. I'm gonna get an extra one.
Sure.
Okay, I'm not setting my second one to explode.
You do. You got.
Oh, there's 2, 4, 6. Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a second one.
You see him set it one step away from self-destruct.
Then I put it back in my head.
Can you do that later?
I think it's a reset it.
I don't want you to accidentally flip and then it. Thank you.
Because it was doing it. Because the way it works is it creates a feedback loop. There isn't really it's either you're building it or not, from my understanding. All right.
Well, I mean,
So what you guys gonna do? You're standing there. There's bodies all over.
Is there a map anywhere?
Remember, everything's broken. Not
We have a
working,
map with our
power's out.
headquarters.
He's got his map. You know where you can find things. You guys know the structure of these ships well.
Okay.
That's not a problem. That's not one of the challenges here.
So, the place that we were supposed to go. The
astronavigation.
Astronavigation. I also want to see. I want to check it out.
Yeah, where's the other one?
So what are you going to do? You're talking about what you want to do. What are you going to do?
Is the armory closer to the?
Jeez, I don't know.
He doesn't actually
know
have
where- I don't know where A is on this ship.
I have
don't
a
know if
better
there's even
map of the ship than he does.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
in
I don't
that
think I
case,
have a
we're
map
gonna go
of the
to
ship.
the armory so that we are better equipped.
I don't think they actually gave me a.
It's a scientific vessel. It may not have an armory, but everyone should.
I don't see. So I can't. I can tell you, yes, you can get there. I don't know personally where each thing is.
Okay, we're going to the armory then.
Because they don't give me that info. I'm gonna guess that.
Well, this is a research vehicle. Wouldn't there not be an armory?
Well, it's also in space, and there are.
Well, if they
pirates
have
things,
weapons, there's
so-
somewhere to store the weapons, so there has to be even a small armory. There has to be. That's just the way it's going to work. All an armory is a place to store weapons. They have weapons, so there must have been an armory. Whether or not there's any weapons left in the armory.
Yeah.
So you're going to go try to all go to the armory instead, or are you going to split up, or what are you going to do?
We're not splitting up.
Okay.
We're going to the armory.
All right. So your corridors are dimly lit. Let's see. And you're on your way. Corridors are dimly lit from the glow of the red emergency lights. So imagine it all red emergency lights. Walking along, you find 3 more dead Starfleet officers. You recognize them from your early mission briefing. Captain Kelly, his first officer Commander Gandrick, and Chief of Security Lieutenant Talau.
So now we're at 10.
Do you want to examine the bodies?
Yes.
Okay, who's examining the bodies?
Me.
Okay. So you get down and examine the bodies?
Yeah. with my
Okay, you don't need to roll.
Oh.
As you get down to examine the bodies, all of a sudden a disruptor blast scorches the wall beside you. You look up and you see 4 Romulans come around at the other end of the corridor.
Phaser.
So now, so use map 2.3 on the poster map. Right
here.
Okay. When they say the poster map, I think they mean that this was one small, which I think it's better to have it in small. 2.3? Yeah, 2.3. Place the player characters and the Romulans at long range from one another as shown on the back of this booklet. I'm assuming I need to fold
The fold is not relevant.
Not in the right. Well, these are two different locations.
So we'll have to
Let me
pretend we
figure
can't
out-
see the other
okay.
location.
Okay, so the back of the book has. There we go.
Leaning
Okay.
farther forward.
Really want to fold.
Does it specify which end of the tunnel we're on?
Well, it's partially. Player starting location. Well, that's like right on top of you. Go ahead and so we're gonna have that there as your combat map. This again. So I've got little Romulan icons here. 4 of them.
Not really that big of a place.
By the way, they should make them double-sided so that one of them shows them like out of action or something. Instead of single-sided, that would
Yeah,
be a
I agree
smart
with that, too.
tweak. So you track who's in action and out of action. I guess you could stick the alert stuff on them. I think that would just be
Or
an
just
easy,
remove
simple
them.
fix.
Then that doesn't seem.
I don't want to remove them because you want to remember where the bodies are and such,
Yeah.
right? Or even if they're stunned or not. So condition tokens would. And maybe they have that in the advanced version. Okay, place the player characters and the Romulans at long range from one another, as shown at the back of this booklet. In this conflict, player characters take the first turn.
There's a door between them, by the way. That does have.
Oh, okay, so it is unfolded. Go ahead and unfold it. That's what was confusing me, was the distance wasn't right.
Okay,
So unfold it. So you guys are on the far right-hand side, coming in that side door, down
right here.
there.
This door.
That's where you came through. That's where you guys are. That's where the bodies are that you were investigating. The Romulans. So I'll have to place them.
The illustration of the captain shows he has a rifle, so I just want to say he's got one right
Here.
Apparently, the door between the two sections are open.
Probably jammed open.
Mm-hmm.
Then why would the map show them closed?
I don't know.
Because they do.
Just so that you could tell that they're doors.
That's a good point. Those are escape pods.
This map is inverted.
What?
It's seriously inverted. That thing they're around, down here, it's on the other side. You guys
It
are
is.
here. They've got their map inverted.
So we cut this
Hey.
in half.
They inverted the design of the map. Between here and there, it's flipped. I hope that doesn't affect anything. I don't know what that is there around. It looks
Well,
like
that's the engine. We're going to blow the whole place
it looks
up.
like it looks like the command console for the engine room.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh well. So that's a little bit of a glitch.
Yeah. Are you paying
Right.
attention, writers who aren't watching our show?
Yeah. You never know. We've had quite a few new game people actually check our stuff out and then refer people. I don't know if that's going to happen with this one, but I mean, I'm excited about it. There's a lot of potential here. There's design issues.
Yeah.
The game has great potential. The design has issues. All right, including inverting the maps. All right.
I almost wonder if the solution right now, since they do want to win all those awards, is to have like the pretty version, like a deluxe version.
Right.
And that's
That's
the
how
one.
they should do it. Have a deluxe pretty version, but make the default version be easy and accessible.
Yep.
Go for it. And you see that D&D's got their deluxe version, like their silver edition, whatever. Great, do that. Knock yourself out, but make the default versions accessible without all the getting carried away with the layout. So that would be a much smarter way to go and make it accessible to a lot more people. All right. So we place them on there. In this conflict encounter, the player characters take the first turn, and it's up to them who goes first. During a turn in a conflict, a player character can attempt one minor action and one task. After the character completes his or her turn, the action passes to the opposing side. However, the player may spend 2 momentum to instead pass the action to another player character. Let me finish reading it and hold your thought. Write it down.
I've got
This
it.
is called Keep the Initiative. But the players cannot keep the initiative again until the Romulans have taken a turn on their own. The Game Master can spend 2 threat here to add the escalation options to the Romulans. This arms all the adversaries with disruptor rifles instead of pistols. See the sidebars for the Centurion and the Ulans. Set phasers to stun. In order to stun your opponent, you must declare that you are making a non-lethal attack before rolling the dice. Alternatively, the ranking officer in charge can make this declaration for the player characters by ordering them to set their phasers to stun.
Which he did before we got off the
Characters
ship.
are stunned when they suffer an injury from a non-lethal attack. An injury occurs in one of 2 ways. The character takes 5 or more damage from a single attack after reduction from resistance, if any, or the character is reduced to 0 stress. Injured characters cannot attempt tasks, perform minor actions, or participate in the encounter. Lethal attacks. A player character who makes a lethal attack, or an attack to kill, adds 1 point to the threat pool. A non-player character who makes a lethal attack must spend 1 point of threat. Okay, so if you make a lethal attack, I get more, there's more threat and more of the threat pool.
So there's a
Which can
slight
be used
behavior
against you
modification
more.
right there.
That's good. I like it. All right. So, but if you choose stun, it doesn't seem to do that. So that's good. The more lethal you are, the more it escalates on the NPC side. So that's interesting. And then for the NPCs to be violent, they have to spend. I like that. That is form of behavior modification there. Consequences to actions. I like it. That's why when I was reading about momentum system, I was like, ooh, this might be what we're looking for. All right, avoiding injuries. Characters may avoid an injury once per scene. There are several ways player characters may avoid or temporarily ignore the effects of an injury. Rules booklet, page 14. Notable NPCs can spend 2 threat to avoid an injury. Minor NPCs do not have this ability. We're covering first aid. We'll do it about later. Including the conflict. We'll worry about that as it happens. If the combat goes against you guys, the player characters, a fighting withdrawal is a viable option. The DM can have a door mysteriously seal behind the away team as they retreat, giving them time to escape. Later they'll learn blah, 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 blah. Regardless of the outcome. Okay, all right. So you get the idea. Now it's giving me some guidelines to handle this first combat, which is good for them.
Okay.
So now I've got a summary here of the traits of the Romulans. They're giving me, okay, Centurion and Ulan. All right, notable and minor.
And I have a trait that influences the
Combat? What is it?
I have quick to action. During the first round of combat, you and your allies make normal momentum cost to keep the initiative.
Woo! Well, aren't you special?
I am special.
Wow! But you still have to declare it, but you don't have to pay the momentum. That's awesome.
just
Since you don't
declared
have
it,
any.
I just declared it too, so we get to keep the initiative.
All right. So who's going first, though?
Security officer.
Security officer first.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do, security officer? Somebody coming in. What do you do, security officer?
Fire favorite.
Okay. All right, we're gonna fire it. What mode? What's everybody's phaser set to?
Stun. We were ordered
all
to
set
put
We
him on
to
were
stun?
ordered to
Okay.
set it to stun.
All right. Go ahead, and now we figure out what to do. Characters stunned when they suffer an injury from a non-lethal attack. An injury occurs in one of 2 ways. Character takes 5 or more damage from a single attack. Okay. At this point, I probably have to jump to the rule book because it doesn't really walk me through doing combat at this point. This would be the appropriate place to reiterate the rules in the context of the battle.
Right.
Instead, it looks like I have to go to the rule book, which could be lengthy.
Step 1,
So-
Step 2, Step 73.
Yeah, yeah.
Step 45. Oh, step 45B. If A happens,
Yeah, branching
or
flowchart.
C,
Yeah.
if
All right, so I was
B
only up to page
happens.
7 with all that pre-reading that we. Task. Attempting a task. Game master chooses attribute. Cancel. I don't know. To combat a standard. Conflict. Rules of play. Conflict. Encounters. Starfleet officers always do their utmost to avoid violence and conflict, seeking a diplomatic resolution wherever possible. There will always be times, however, when diplomacy breaks down and Starfleet personnel must defend themselves. Rounds and turns. Combat is played out in rounds and turns. Within each round, each character in a conflict encounter takes 1 turn. At the start of a conflict, Game Master determines a single character to take the first turn. This is normally a player character unless there is a story reason for a non-player character. They almost always give player characters nicknames. Order of play goes back and forth from player characters to non-player characters until everyone has had a turn. The next round begins with the first turn going to the side that did not act last. Zones and distances. Zones are defined by the terrain around the characters. Tracking a character can be a matter of simple description. An enemy might be behind the control console or standing by the shuttle. This has the advantage of relying on natural language and intuitive concepts rather than specific game terms, and avoids the tracking of fiddly distances when there are many characters present. Movement and ranged attacks need some sense of distance to make them meaningful. In combat, the relative placement of zones determines this distance. To keep things simple and fluid, range is measured in one state and 4 categories. The state of reach is when an object or character is within arm's reach length of the character. It's necessary to be in reach of a character to make a melee attack. Being within reach of an enemy is quite disruptive and distracting, adding +1 to the difficulty of any task other than a melee attack. Close range is defined as the zone the character is within at the time. Moving within close range is a trivial affair. Close range is, in essence, a distance of 0 zones. Medium range is defined as any zone adjacent to the character's current zone. Medium range is a distance of 1 zone. Long range is defined as objects and creatures 2 zones away from a character's current zone. Long range is a distance of 2 zones. Extreme range is 3 or more zones. Any creatures and objects beyond long range. Conflict actions. During a turn in combat, a character can attempt 1 task and several minor actions. A character can perform 1 minor action for free. Each additional minor action costs momentum, immediate, equal to the number of minor actions already performed that turn. Each minor action can only be attempted once per turn. Minor actions in combat include aim, and there's details for each. I'll come back to that. Aim, draw item. So drawing your phaser is a minor free action. Drop prone, interact, movement, prepare, stand. Those are minor actions. Combat tasks: assist, attack, create advantage, direct, guard, pass, ready, recover, sprint, first aid, other tasks. You want any of those described that didn't seem intuitive? We'll start with minor actions. Aim. I'm going to read them anyway because it looks like they're okay. Aim. The character may re-roll a single d20 made on an attack during this turn. So you already drew an item that counted as your minor action. You wanted to spend a momentum, sit there and aim, so you re-roll a single d20. You would have to spend a momentum to send your same. Because you don't have another free minor action. You'd already drawn and ready, then you could say, oh, my minor action this round is aim before you attack. Okay. Draw item, you did it. You pick up an item within reach, draw a weapon, or pull out another item carried on the person or stowed in their gear. Drop prone, that's pretty obvious. Interact with an object. Complex interactions may require a task instead. Movement. You can move to any point within medium range. Cannot be carried out if the character performs any movement-related task. Prepare. Preparing to prepare. Implement preparation. So you're spending time setting up a task. Some tasks require a minor action to be taken before the task can be attempted. Or the minor action gives a bonus. So you get something you have to.
Tie the knot before you lasso the
Exactly.
person.
Yeah. Stand. So if you're prone, stand up. All right. Combat tasks. Assist. Character performs some activity that will grant an ally an advantage. The character nominates a single ally with whom they can communicate and assist their next attack. It's obvious. Create advantage. The character creates some beneficial circumstance or removes a complication. Probably based on.
So then, can I see a rule book so I can look up, because it's italicized, keep the initiative, so that way you don't have to while you're looking for everything else. Because I didn't hear that any of that.
Keep the initiative.
Yeah.
Well, keep the initiative. We already talked about keep the initiative. That you normally have to spend a momentum to keep the initiative person. You don't have to spend that point. Pick one person.
Me
did
and
read that
each
aloud.
of my.
Well, does it say for the entire group or just
Yeah.
for one person?
It
Read
says,
it.
You and your allies may ignore the normal momentum cost to keep the initiative.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So it's normally one momentum to keep the initiative,
Okay.
which means that you guys get to go before the Romulan.
Always.
Before it hands
Or
off to them.
Second.
So by default, PCs go first before NPCs. Better trained. Normally, without you being there, after like you, let's say he fires his phaser, it then immediately becomes the Romulan side. Then once they do their attack, then it becomes your side again, and the next person on your team. Back and forth, till everybody's active. Finish one.
Okay.
So it does it back and forth, rather than going through all of you first and then all of them. It goes back and forth. Sides. Or you'd have several on one side act in a row by spending momentum. But he goes, then you go. That's one momentum. You go, after you go, he goes. That's another momentum. Then he goes, another momentum, and then the Romulans.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if your momentum gets to every single one of them gets to go, or just at least one person gets
It's
to go.
the first round.
Okay, so the first round of this, all four of you will get to go without spending momentum. Wow.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
Okay.
Keep your doctor handy, but don't get him killed. So that's definitely helpful to have your doctor around. Guard, find some defensible position. Pass, the character chooses not to attempt a task. Ready, they declare that they're waiting for a specific situation or event to occur before attempting a task. Recover, the character gets behind cover and attempts a fitness plus command task with difficulty of 2. They gain 1 additional resistance for each effect rolled on cover dice and regain the ability to avoid an injury. Further, the character gains 2 stress per momentum spent. So that's an important one to keep in mind if you get some cover and recover. Sprint, the character attempts to move further and more quickly. It's fitness plus security task, difficulty 0. Success means you move 1 zone, 1 additional zone per momentum spent. Repeatable. First aid, attempt to treat an injury within reach. Person or yourself in reach. And other tasks, a range of other tasks, blah, blah, blah. All right, so attacker chooses a weapon for the attack. You've chosen your phaser. 2. The attacker then nominates a viable target for that weapon. Which target do you want to choose? Which one is his?
This is his, right in the middle.
Okay, so the closest one on the right or the left? All right, one on the left. Okay. Do you want it to be non-lethal or lethal? You've chosen stun, right?
He chose that.
If the character intends to make a lethal attack, add a single point to the threat pool. Since you chose not to make it lethal, it doesn't get added. That means my NPCs have less. That's a major behavior modifier. Mm-hmm. The attacker attempts a task determined by the type of attack. So there's melee or ranged. For ranged, the attacker attempts a control plus security task with a difficulty of 2. Okay, so what is your control plus security task score? 12. And a difficulty of 2. This is not an opposed task. The difficulty of this task increases by 1 if there's an enemy within reach of the attacker, so if they're too close to you with a melee, whatever. Complication range of the attack increases by 1 if there are creatures within reach of the target. Complication may indicate that one of the other nearby creatures is struck by the attack. Number 5. If the attack is successful, the attacker inflicts damage. So go ahead and roll your... See how you do. See if you get success or not.
One success.
Okay,
One.
so that's complication. So A, you missed your target, and B means it may have struck a creature near the attack through the
Which
complication.
The nearest person is another womble. We may have shot the wrong womble.
And one of the other nearby creatures is struck by the attack. Okay.
So, Ron,
Number 6, if the target has any resistance dice from cover and the like, roll those dice and add the total rolled to the character's static resistance. Its total is the character's total resistance for that attack. Reduce the total damage rolled by 1 for each point of total resistance. If there's 1 or more damage remaining after this reduction, the character loses 1 point of stress for each point of remaining damage. The character may also suffer an injury if 1 or more of the following conditions occurs. A. The character suffers 5 or more damage from a single attack or hazard. After reduction from resistance, the character suffers an injury. B. If the character is reduced to 0 stress by that attack or hazard, they suffer an injury. C. If the character has 0 stress before the attack or hazard, and the attack or hazard inflicts 1 or more damage, the character suffers an injury. If 2 of the conditions occur, the character suffers 2 injuries, resolved 1 at a time. When a character suffers an injury, they are incapacitated. They cannot carry out any minor actions or attempt any tasks for the remainder of the scene. The character that suffers a second injury when already suffering from a non-lethal injury now suffers from a lethal injury instead. A character that suffers an injury while already suffering from a lethal injury. Watch out for that. When a character suffers an injury, they have the option to avoid it as they can dive aside at the last moment, duck into cover, or otherwise dodge out of the way. Avoiding an injury in this way has a price. It costs 2 momentum immediately, or requires that the character suffers a complication, minor injury, collateral damage, etc. So you can, if you don't have momentum, you can go ahead and take an injury or do something like collateral damage as a trade-off to you trying to avoid the injury. The character may only avoid an injury once per scene, though they may regain the ability up to 1 use by taking the recover task. We talked about ducking behind thing, doing. A character who succeeds at a melee attack, whether they were the attacker or the target, can immediately leave their enemy's reach instead of inflicting damage. The character fends off their opponent instead of attacking. Combat momentum spends. Momentum is a key tactical resource during combat. When a character generates momentum in combat, they have numerous options available to overcome their enemies, empower their allies, and bolster their own prowess. The table opposite provides additional options available to a character when they generate 1 or momentum in combat. These are in addition to the normal uses of momentum and any others that players the GM creates. Under cost, where spend is listed with an R, it is repeatable. Where the spend is listed with an I, it means the spend is immediate. If neither note is present, then the momentum spend may only be used once per round at most. On the chart here we have momentum spend, bonus damage, cost 1, repeatable. Effect: a character can increase the damage inflicted by a successful attack regardless of the type of attack. Each momentum spent adds +1 damage. Disarm, cost is 2. 1 weapon held by the target is knocked away and falls to the ground within reach. Extra minor actions, cost is 1. It is immediate and repeatable. Take additional minor actions. So you spend 1 momentum to be able to take additional minor actions. Keep the initiative, 2. Pass the action order to another ally instead of the enemy. May only be done once before the enemy has taken at least 1 turn. So, you waive the cost, but only 1 person gets to do it. It's not the entire crew.
but it says you and your.
Allies.
So that our allies can do that ability.
Well, okay, but you can only, even though you're waiving the cost, you can still only do it once before it passes to the other side. That's the point, is you're waiving the cost. You're not waiving the restriction that you can only keep the initiative once. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, I was wrong about. You can't do that. It has to go back and forth. But you at least get to keep it for 1 extra.
1, 2,
then
3,
back to them.
4, 5.
Something like that. Yeah, exactly. Well, no. That's you said it was just the first round.
Yeah, for the first round. That's what I mean. Because one
Pass the
whole
order.
set
Yeah,
of actions around.
we'll find out. Penetration. 1. Recurring damage inflicted by the current attack ignores 2 resistance for each momentum spent. Reroll damage. Void in it is 1. Void injury is 2. Secondary target 2. And swift task is 2. Just some ideas of what you can spend momentum on. Weapons and other forms of attack, as well as the damage caused by hazards, have a few common traits and values that determine the specifics of how they function. The key element of a weapon are what type of weapon it is, its damage rating, the weapon size, and any qualities it possesses that influence how it is used. So type is melee or range to get the idea. So where is my list of ships? Scale. System hit table.
You mentioned how to use your focuses. What benefits they provide.
That might... Summary. Any weapon.
Yeah, I'm looking at.
Is there extra charts to show us anything?
I'm looking at the weapons,
Mm-hmm.
and on my end, it's not
What's
so
the damage
straightforward.
rating?
See, that's what I'm
This
saying.
will be a number of Star Trek Delta symbols.
Oh, so
phases of
5.
Yours is
Possibly
5?
1 or more damage effects that trigger when effects are rolled.
Mine's only a 4.
All weapons gain additional deltas to their damage rating equal to the security discipline of the character.
Okay. So.
Size. Weapons will either be one-handed 1H or two-handed 2H.
Okay.
2H weapon can be used in one hand to make an attack with a different 1.
And then charge.
Qualities. There are any additional rules setting out restrictions and benefits of the damage effects. Following abilities provide additional benefits whenever an effect is rolled on the delta. See challenge dice on page 6. When 1 or more effects are rolled, all damage effects that apply to that attack are used. Area, hence, knockdown, piercing X, vicious X. That's the number of points. Qualities. Accurate, charge, cumbersome, deadly, debilitating, hidden X, inaccurate, non-lethal. So debilitating rather than deadly. If the character attempts to make a lethal attack with this weapon, difficulty is attacked by 1. Starship profiles. Okay. Distance of zones. Come right. Make an attack. Choose. This is all Starship. It's the book. Alright. So we're back to your first shot. You missed. We were seeing if you hit something or somebody. Well, no. There's something else that can also be, which is I saw a chart here for doing damage to surrounding area. Just see that. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's Starship Combat. Okay. All right. Well, then we'll see how I figure out how he absorbs or not absorbs or dodges or whatever. Let's see here. Adventure. Okay. That's just the other one. Because it's on the shirt, right?
Yeah.
There's the physical one and then the. Okay. They do match in size. That's interesting. They do match. I'm surprised the scale is that spot on.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was like it had rotated and the battery was gonna come out.
All right. So phaser type 1. Where did my Romulan specs go? Wrong. Okay, that's the starter rules. Okay, switch back. Sure. All right, Romulan type 1. Oh, sorry, the one that's separate from the rest, that is a different token. Others. So they're all, the other 3 are looking sideways, right? Are they all looking sideways, or is one of them looking forward? Okay, so the one that's by himself, replace that with. That's the different type. Couldn't see that on here because it was so small. So the one on the left is another Romulan Ulan. So unarmed strike, dagger, disruptor pistol, escalation, guile and cunning, wary, resistance, stress. So they don't have any resistance. Okay, so let's see if we can figure out this combat system here. See if this screen is helpful. Venom, threat, talents, pose task, complication, determination, common momentum, conflict, minor actions, momentum spend, determination. So determination, a character may spend 1 determination to take a second task during a turn. You all have 1 determination. So you can spend that to take a second task. Just, you know. Mm-hmm. All right. Attacker, here it is. Making an attack. Attacker chooses a weapon. The attacker chooses a target. A melee weapon attack must be within. Okay. Character check. Okay. 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 So then hits that one of those other creatures was struck by the attack.
I can't imagine they have cows, so I don't know what sets as a creature.
Knockdown. Vicious. Yeah, the orange text is really hard to read on here.
All right, well, I at least now know what focuses do.
What do they do?
If you have a focus, it's applicable. If you make this a successful roll, instead of being 1 success, it's 2.
Oh, cool.
If you roll a natural 1 and do not have a focus, then that's 2 successes. It doesn't seem like
you don't get 4
you don't
or
get,
3.
You
Yeah,
don't get 3.
But you automatically get 2 if you succeed. So
right,
that's
if
great.
If your focus is applicable.
Yeah, that's great.
So when I do emergency medicine later, when we're bleeding out.
Right. That's going to be very handy. Okay, on this really hard to read orange text, there are weapons. So phaser type 1, ranged, it's 2 delta damage rating, one-handed. Its qualities are charge and hidden 1, and costs a standard issue.
Did you say 4 delta?
2 delta.
Oh, 4 delta. 5 delta.
I've got 5 delta.
That's the damage rating.
Yeah.
That's the 6-sided dice, I believe.
Some of us have
7.
better deltas than others.
Oh, you have a delta.
So the hidden means it's easy to hide, and then the charge is. Excuse me. Excuse me. Charge is weapon has an adaptable energy supply, allowing its potency to be scaled to different levels. Okay, so that's the different level of charge that you fire it with.
And hidden.
Okay, if the attacker inflicts. Okay, so we're assuming it hits the other guy. I'm not sure that that's right, but let's just assume so we can figure this process out. So roll the number of deltas for the attack or hazard's damage rating. The total rolled is the amount of damage the attacker hazard. So, what is your phaser weapon, ranged weapon? Does that show a number of deltas? 7? Jeez.
You get a roll 7 dice.
6-sided dice.
You have 5 now. 7.
And you have a focus? I guess that's minor, rolling the damage. If the focus is minor.
So, cross-referencing because you don't have the special dice.
Wouldn't the focus have changed whether he failed or not? Because he had 1 success. Sorry, I'm just going.
So that means 2 successes. If he's got a focus.
And phasers. Yep, he has a focus, so that means that would have been 2 successes.
Yeah.
Instead of 1.
So his focus is hand phaser, so So that would have been enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fine. We'll switch it to the primary target. Right, we're figuring this out as we go. I mean,
Bullet
It's gonna
so
split
there
in
are
half.
these summary charts.
Yeah.
Conflict reference, conflict momentum spends.
You have to
These
spend
all
hours
came with
memorizing it.
these all came with the GM chart. They didn't come with the core game. Now, however, on your character sheets, you did each have. Did you not copy those? The other sides of the character sheet, Dan? Oh, yeah, those are supposed to be copied.
3 and 4 are blank. So you have a 2. You have 2 2s and a 6.
On the other side of the character sheet. Was a lot of information you guys need to know.
Okay.
Conflict momentum spend. Okay, so it's this other stuff. So you guys are all supposed to have copies of
You have to learn this
all of these. So Dan, if you would copy the back sides, please, and give everybody a copy.
Are they all the same?
Well, it's
backside?
whatever is referenced to your character for your specialty.
Uh,
And then there's the generic, just how to play the game. So you're supposed to have that because that was on the back of each character sheet.
Okay. So James has relevant because he has some middle
Yeah.
ground.
So how many did you roll
He
on
has
the d6s?
2 2s and 1 6.
I have no idea what to do with that.
6 is an effect, and 2 2s are challenge 2.
So if he has any resistance dice, it looks like Romulans do not. 0 and 0 on resistance. Stress 11.
Because we've been stacking things and trying to keep them organized.
I know, it rings. All right.
I'm saying that's our fault for organizing.
I know.
There's not post-it notes all over the table anymore. Like normal.
Okay. So tell me the first number that you got with the lower ones.
2 2.
And what was the higher one?
6.
Just 1 6?
Yeah. And the rest are 3s and 4s.
Which are blanks. Okay.
Good thing you got to roll that many dice. Since 4 of them did nothing for you.
So they have no resistance, so I don't subtract any.
I don't get why they'd only give you 4 dice. 4 6-sided.
And
If
then
a
you
lot
need
of the
12.
base players are at 4 or at 5.
I'm not a 4. But yeah, everybody else.
Okay, he doesn't have any
5 or
covers, so no additional resistance there.
But yeah, you know what I
Total
mean?
resistance,
7.
no.
Mhm.
Okay, 5 or more damage from a single attack or hazard. That.
Second time we play this, we actually read all the rules.
Again, problematic for an introductory set.
Yeah.
Well, and the dice don't seem that hard to interpret, which is one of the things that was killing us with the other one. It's just the problem is, where do we interpret them to?
What do you do with those pieces?
But once we figure it out, it'll be a piece of cake. But the first time around, it's not.
Well, and like I said, it was really easy for us to interpret the
Not
die.
intuitive.
It's
no,
not.
reading the dice isn't that bad, but
It's not Star
what
Wars.
to then do from no, way better than Star Wars as far as that goes.
I'm
as
giving
far
a
as
comparison
complexity.
for our
Audience.
But
audience numbers.
yeah. Okay, so challenge dice result. Okay, so he rolls 6 deltas for the damage. He rolls a 1 and a 2 and an effect. 3 blank. Okay, so you rolled 1 effect. So 6 is an effect. 1 and a 2 and effect. 3 blank faces total score. Okay, so in this case you got a total score of 3, and can activate an effect.
How is it 3? Can I know that?
You had two 2s
Yeah. So
and
each
1
2
6,
is
and then the
worth
rest
1.
are 3s and 4s.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Oh,
was-
and there's okay. Wait a minute.
Because I thought the 2s were 2.
You're right.
So
you're
it'd
right.
be
One-
4.
Well, okay, hang on. Okay, so that would be 4. You're right. So that's 4. Challenge dice result. So 2 2s equals a 4,
Got
Okay,
it.
yeah.
Quattro.
I just wanted to make
and
sure.
1 effect. So, what is the effect? You suffer 5 or more damage from a single attack or hazard. Blah. So does that mean they take 4 damage from their stress, or that's what I'm thinking?
I think is your stress
I
like
think
your
the
health?
4 takes away 4. Yeah, that's health. So I think that because if you go to stress 0, that's when you're incapacitated. So I think the 4 takes away from, like, the Romulans have 11 stress. So I suspect that 4, since they're under resistance, drops their 11 down to a 7.
This is hard to read. It's black and white for me, so I can only imagine if it was. Can I see the back of this real quick? I just want to see the back one. Oh, this is totally different than mine.
Well, each one is different.
Yeah,
It's
each
different.
one is different.
No, can I see mine? Go that way. Oh, John has it. No, that's not it.
They're all over here.
Oh, okay. I just want to see if I can read it. Okay, it's not that.
So where's the effect?
It just looked like because of the gray scale, it looks like there was other.
Because it says. Okay, it's meant to be non-lethal. So the question is the effect stun, right? That's what I'm thinking, is that they take 4 and then stun, but do they have to take 11 to be stunned, or is the effect enough to stun them? I'm trying to figure that out because it doesn't say anything. Let's see, there was a set things for stun. Combat just kills the flow of the game when it's not. Okay. If you stun, in order to stun your opponent, you must declare that you're making a non-lethal attack for roll a dice. You did that. Totally ranking. Okay, you already did that. Order then set your phases to stun. Characters are stunned when they suffer an injury from a non-lethal attack. An injury occurs in one of 2 ways. The character takes 5 or more damage from a single attack. A reduction from resistance. Okay, so you didn't break 5. You got 4. That's not enough, so they're not stunned. Gotten a 5, then
They would be.
they suffer an injury from the non-lethal attack. That's an injury. Okay, player character makes a lethal attack. What's so they have to have an injury to be stunned? I'm not fine. Look up stun in the bigger book. That's more complete. Type. Looking for what does effect do, right? Because it says you got 1 effect. That means stun is automatic. Did you need to break 5 for the effect to go into effect for the stun? What?
Good news. The word stun is not in the index. So we'll just go to the combat again. Oh,
Stun should be in there. It's freaking Star Trek, man.
Oh.
The rest of that ship
169.
combat.
Is there another book?
No,
This is it. We have the core book and then the basic kit. The basic kit I'm not finding,
Okay.
and again I may have just missed something.
I would have looked.
Like I may have just
but I guess I'm
overread
not
with
going
this
to.
really difficult to read text.
A device. I can try.
The set only has 6 momentum tokens anyway. It has 14 threat tokens and only 6 momentum tokens. So yeah, these are momentum tokens. The Federation, and I've got a whole bunch of the threat tokens.
Okay, so
That
they
was a
expect
correct
us to make
interpretation.
bad decisions. They anticipate us making bad decisions, but they don't anticipate us rolling 7d6. Just pointing that out really quickly.
know what makes it a stun. Does the effect automatically make the stun work? Or did he need to break the threshold of 5 to make it an injury for the stun to work? Or do they get stunned and they lose 4 from their stress?
I'm almost
Or
thinking
not.
that if you broke 5, it would be a
Or does
stun.
breaking 5 mean
Breaking
they lose?
5 without an effect is a stun. The effect is an automatic stun. That's my theory. But
There's a lot of different ways. Yeah, I don't have a clear. For stun, I don't. For lethal, it's clear. But for non-lethal stun, that's where it's not as clear.
You have to kind of persuade taking on the left.
Yeah, we
Making
want
it more
that.
difficult.
We definitely want. Well, I don't think they're making it more difficult. We're missing something. We're missing a key. There's probably one little sentence or paragraph that I missed somewhere that says how to apply stun or an effect, right? Really what I'm looking for is how to apply an effect, and then I need to know that. We know that it didn't cross the threshold for an injury. So what I'm thinking is it had to hit a 5 to maybe that reduces 1 stress. Right? If you make a 5 or higher, it reduces 1 stress. Or is it that I take 4? If you roll a 4, does that take 4 away from your stress? Could be either, right? I can interpret either way. I don't know.
Community literally only opens up to a join our newsletter. There's no. Oh, there's some stuff. Nope, still nothing worthwhile. Just talking about what's going on. This is their news page. I'm looking for a forum.
Successful damage. Number of deltas. Rating the total amount is the damage. I'm going to guess that means they lost 4. No. They lost 4 stress. Subtract 4 from stress. And then the question is, now, since you did have an effect, does that mean the stun now works? Or do you have to drop them to 0 non-lethal damage before the stun has effect? Guessing since it does have effect and rolled effect, then that is a stun. If the attack is successful, the attacker inflicts damage. Okay, then they do resistance dice. Total damage by 1 for resistance. If they suffer 5 or more damage from a single attack or hazard, they suffer an injury. That's a different classification. If they're reduced to 0, they suffer an injury. If they had a 0 stress, okay, that's just making it worse. Injury. Okay, I'm going to guess that since you did roll effect, that means you stun them. But I'm guessing. I don't see yet where it says, and again, we're just probably missing one sentence somewhere.
Nope, it's not on that.
Where it says when to apply the stun. But I'm going to say, since you rolled effect, that's a stun.
I'm going to read an example.
So I'm going to roll it. Do they include stun or just damage?
Well, this is an attack to stun.
Okay, good.
So I haven't read all of it yet, but hopefully it worked. But I just saw it said attack to stun. Kirk and Spot are in similar loyalty, trying to move among the
Slow down, please, John.
Confronted with a pair of local mobsters, the 2 officers attempt to subdue them. Kirk's attack is to stun, and he rolls his daring 11 plus 33,
right,
scoring only a single success. But the mobster generates 1 success on his own daring plus security cast, and Kirk was the aggressor here. He wins the tie and rolls to inflict damage. Not inflicting enough damage to knock out the mobster, the fight continues, and the mobster attacks back during his own turn. This time, Kirk buys an extra die 20 by adding to threat, and scores enough successful to not only hit the mobster, boost his damage, but the mobster is incapacitated.
I understand that. That's lethal damage. Stun.
So that was the description of stun.
It didn't talk about an effect. We talked about damage to drop them to 0.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What it said, drop them to 0.
Yeah.
Let me see it, please.
Okay. That was just an example like where my
Yeah.
thumb
Oh,
is. I'm trying to pictures on it. So you can't see my
Your
thumb.
thumb okay?
Yeah.
Squash. It's a mimic. Trying to eat your thumb like the ramp did half of mine.
Yes, that was vicious.
This is them talking about.
Kirk's attack is to stun, and he rolls his daring plus security. Okay, so that is for
1 point plus effect is what they're saying a
Who what?
a 5 and a 6 is.
Right, but what does that
We
affect
already
me?
we're okay. But that's we don't know. Okay.
We don't know what an effect is. No, but it's 1 point. That's what I'm
Non-lethal.
saying.
The weapon is debilitating rather than deadly.
Oh, so in other words, it's
If the
5
character
points.
attempts to make
Yeah.
a lethal attack, but it doesn't. So it's just non-lethal damage. But when do we have to drop them to 0 to get a stun, or does the effect lead to a stun? So let me finish reading this, please. Okay, success, a monster success. Aggressor here, die rolls 10 point damage. Damage not turn. Right. Enough successes. Kill. Still not murder. Just not clear about when stun goes. I get it for the rest of it. Like lethal damage, it's clear. Got to get them down. There's certain things. Yeah, that's clear. Injuries is clear. Incapacity is clear. But I can't figure out when stun goes into it.
What's the word effect mean?
Damage effect. Well, there's damage effects. It tells me that. So it's non-lethal. It's debilitating rather than deadly. So, since he rolled a 6 for an effect, does that mean he's automatically stunned? That is my assumption, that he's stunned. That he took 4 non-lethal damage and that he's stunned. I'm not confident about that, but shall we go ahead with that until we just figure out otherwise?
Sure.
Is that okay for everybody? Does that sound like a reasonable interpretation of what we think it means for the moment? Does anybody disagree so we can correct it? Right. If we may have to change that if we find out we're wrong. We got to move it along. Yeah, because it's clock. Exactly.
We just spent 20 minutes talking.
I know, because we were trying to figure out when. Okay, so you stunned the first guy. Finally, we resolved one shot.
Well, and some of the things I was reading say that effect is a +1 and effect.
Okay, that did not help.
It just means it's 5. He's got
Instead
an
of
injury.
4. I know, but
An injury would be stunned.
okay.
Isn't that what
Except it's non-lethal, and he didn't go to 0, so I don't know.
Reduce the total damage by the total damage for applying stress.
All right, well let's just go with what I'm going with, and we'll go from there. Okay. So who, since you're here to keep initiative, Danielle?
Yes.
Who is going to go next?
Probably our first one.
Tell everyone.
And do you want to go ahead and just use these dice since they're clearer?
Yeah.
They are clearer than trying to calculate the number. They do visually make sense.
I'm going to pull on a weapon the rest of my night.
Okay.
Would I be able to say everyone
Nope, that's a command. That's a minor task, so you'd have to spend a momentum to do that. It says that's very specifically to say something.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to draw and fire.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and fire the
One on the right nearest?
that isn't, yeah, one
That isn't stunned. Okay,
And
that
I'm
makes
firing the
sense.
stun.
Makes sense.
Okay. And would I be able to use my focus for guerrilla tactics here?
Not in this context, no.
Okay.
That would be like setting an ambush or sneaking up behind them, things like that. I would think.
Okay. So, and I'm doing what? Security?
You're doing a melee attack.
No,
so
phaser.
phaser. I'm sorry, a missile attack. Sorry. Ranged attack is control plus security.
So, 11.
Okay.
1 success.
One success.
Yeah.
Okay, and you don't have a focus on phaser, right?
I
Make sure
will
you-
focus on guerrilla tactics, diplomacy, survival, composure, sharpness, protocol, and 3D check.
Jeez.
3D chess.
Hey, that could come in handy, really, actually, in some sort of like, well, I'll play you for a chess game for this diplomatic decision and stuff. It's been known to happen.
Could
All
I
right.
say that my
I was
tactics
about to
right
say
now
that.
is, playing in 3D chess?
You also playing a 3D chess game while you're doing this?
This isn't chess boxing.
I'm seeing all of the.
Okay, so it is 1 plus effective.
Oh,
Okay.
God, I love
So anyway, your shot misses.
Okay.
All right, now it goes to their side. So the one nearest takes a shot back at you to return the favor. May I have my dice, please?
An injured character is out of the fight and cannot participate in the scene any
That's
further.
if it's an injury. That's if it
Right,
qualifies.
so 5
if
is
it,
an injury.
but he's stunned anyway, so that's irrelevant.
Well, I mean, that's the definition of a stun. It's injured. He's taken out. He's stunned.
But this classifies injuries separately from stun. They're not the same thing. And injuries can lead to fatalities and stuff, so it's different. And non-lethal versus lethal. So.
Well, this is determining.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll continue here with these ramen. So there, dagger, disruptor pistol, 5, and it's vicious. They hit you, they do vicious. That's not good.
Murder mystery stories. Just gonna put that out there. That's what I'm proficient in. Right there.
What is there? Used to these formulae. Used to them.
An injured character can either continue conducting minor actions. An injured character is out of the fight and cannot participate in the scene any further.
Which we already know that.
Targeted by any field attack, and its attack adds 1 threat to defense of non-paracharges. So an enemy might interact with them in any other way, such as capturing them, inflicting injuries.
John, I'm trying to calculate. So that they should just have that. All right. I mean, I got it, but all right. So it's a 1 success, not succeed. What is their focus? Rules. So I'm guessing they don't get. That one misses you. The next one takes a. Who's that? So I guess he'd fire at you. Yeah, that one's stunned. If you want, you can go and put this. A shot at you. And that's 1 as well, so narrowly misses you as well. Alright. Now it is. Oh, I screwed up. Only one of them gets to.
Right.
Yep.
It is a little different than I'm used to. It's only 1 shot at you. Now it's back to you guys. So who of the 2 of you is going next?
Would you like to go next, or?
I have it next.
Okay.
So I use the take cover action.
All right.
And hide your face.
Sure. Yeah.
I use a point.
So that gives you some resistance and makes it harder.
Right, and I use a point of determination to fire.
Does what?
Which allows me to fire and take cover.
Your extra task.
Yep.
Okay.
Then I use my joined ability. You have a symbiote. Once per mission, you may declare the former host has specific expertise. You gain a single focus for the remainder of the scene as you draw upon those memories. One of my past lives was Pan-Galactic Olympian for marksman.
Just
So,
make one up.
Yeah.
It says you just make one up at any time or just the one time?
One time
Per scene.
per scene.
So last scene he could have been a pilot, and this scene now he is.
That's whacked. All right, whatever.
Once per scene.
Let's go ahead. All right.
So I
That's
any
wacky.
successes are 2 successes on my to shoot him.
All right.
And I'm shooting at this guy over here, obviously. An 8 and 11, and that is below my control and security of 11. So it equals or less than, so that's 4 successes.
Yeah.
Which means gives me 2 momentum.
Okay, I'm not sure about that, but we'll go for it. Let's see if that's what it. Again, I'm a little concerned about our interpretation of the rules here, but we'll do the best we can. All right.
That's what focus said.
So that's a hit. And now roll your. Okay, so because you had 2 extras, then that should give you 2 momentum for the
Right.
pool. It's the group pool because you exceeded it by 2. Assuming we're interpreting that correctly.
Okay, so there's a momentum right there.
And then
What?
I said there's my momentum right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Well,
Right there.
it's a group pool
Can I borrow the special
center.
to make it easier to track.
Yep.
Yeah,
How
you
many?
only
I
have
only
4.
have 4.
Well, I only get 4.
Okay.
I'm not special.
Okay.
I have the lowest level.
Okay.
All right, I have a 2s, and these are each count as 1 success, so that's 4 successes and 2 effects.
Yeah, you got
4 points
4 damage
and
2 effects, which again with stun. Okay, so we'll assume that that's a stun.
Okay.
Like he's doubly stunned, I guess.
Stun.
So go ahead and stick this on him for being stunned. Again, not sure we're doing this right, but this
I'm
is
pretty
how
sure we're not.
This is how we're interpreting it at the moment. We welcome clarity. Probably somebody will probably post on YouTube.
Okay.
We might have to just make this one publicly available so we get feedback.
Yeah.
Damaging effects. The following abilities provide additional benefits whenever an effect is rolled. Which is the
Yeah.
delta.
Yeah.
Okay. When one or more effects are rolled, all damage effects that apply to that attack are triggered. Now with phasers, they have the ability charge. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
that's
with
the
charge.
variable thing, and then that's
And then what's hidden?
Is that where stun is hidden? Is under charge?
Let me read it.
Okay.
Charge. Weapon has an adaptable energy supply,
Right.
allowing its potency to be scaled to different levels.
Yeah, we read all that.
If the character performs a preparation minor action before attacking with this weapon, they may add one of the following damage effects
Right.
to the attack: area, intense, piercing 2, or vicious 1.
But nothing for stun? So area is set it for broad. That's the whole area of effect. You can make it pierce. I get that. Those are all different
Intense.
settings.
The attack is designed to inflict massive harm on the target,
Yeah.
incapacitating them more swiftly. The cost to avoid an injury caused by an intense weapon increases by 1 for each effective roll.
Yeah, but that's still not stun.
Piercing.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Vicious.
All the deadly stuff is clear. I think we got that pretty clearly. It's the stun part that we're having trouble finding.
So
I
I think
think I know
stun
where
just means
Dan-
So here's a question. How long are they stunned? Can anybody tell me that?
till they're healed. Oh, it actually says you just recover.
Yeah,
But it didn't say how
Until the,
long.
actually, I think it's until the end of the scene.
just the scene?
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
I don't know.
I'm going to read here.
Okay,
If an injury came from a non-lethal attack,
okay,
then this is as far as it goes. The character recovers from their injury through not any complications that came from non-lethal attack. At the start of the next scene, automatically.
okay,
The character regains consciousness, though they might be a little busy at the current moment. Of course,
okay.
they may also have been captured while unconscious, which brings a new effect. So that's
Okay.
what that means.
All
So
right.
then the effect would
So there's no duration. It's just scene based.
Scene based, yeah.
All right. That's problematic.
Yeah.
All right. So John did his thing. Now
then
it's
my turn because of
still the
the
same round.
Yes,
Okay.
because we can
'Cause we haven't
do
gone
the
all the way
momentum
around.
without
Understand.
using the
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm grabbing the wrong thing, so I
Okay.
get 2 because first I am going to lay next to the corpse.
Well, you were squatting. You weren't standing or prone. So going prone is a move,
Yes,
which is a minor which is a
major, which is an action. Yeah, I'm gonna do basically what John did. I'm finding shelter, and
movement
I'm
is a
going
minor
to,
action.
and I'm gonna do that by using my determination.
So you're gonna drop prone, then you're gonna shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you don't have to use. It's not another minor action. You can go from drop
But
prone
removing
to
my
attack.
weapon is
Oh, you have to pull your weapon. Right. Okay. So you're gonna use your determination to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
This game's a
But
year
yeah.
old.
I rolled
this is really
a
new.
14 and a 20.
Okay.
And I don't think either of
what
them
is
hit.
your combined score?
It was control, right?
It was no.
No, it was,
oh gosh darn it.
Now we're so far away from it. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure.
It is control plus security task.
Yeah, I failed on both counts, and
What
I got
did
a
you
20.
need?
I needed a 13.
And you get a 20. Okay. So
Always the opposite for me.
you smack one of the control panels and sizzle it.
Okay.
I'm just not going to mess with the other things at this moment. All right.
I'm gonna watch
And-
your videos.
Okay. Right. So next is, because I mean, I do think we want to go deeper with this, right? We're
Yeah, I
seeing
do.
things that look promising.
This is a lot.
We want to
of
delve deeper.
promising
It seems to have potential.
And it would be a lot of fun if we understood
Yeah, we will.
it.
And then we will do a better job explaining it to new people once we've got it, once we've got our heads around.
Because I think we all live long and prosper. Tricky. Yeah.
That was a delayed reaction. All right. The one close by. No, he already did his thing. So the one far away does his thing. Let's see if his is okay. Right. And he's going. Who's that in the back there?
That's the special dude looking forward.
Huh?
That's the dude that
That's
looks
the
forward.
special.
No, your crew. Who's the far right backside?
Oh,
here?
me.
That's you.
That's
And
All
I'm
right.
in a defensive state.
Okay, good. So that's going to help with resistance and stuff
Mhm.
because.
defensive space if you guys don't got it.
So we have to
I
figure
was
out the
actually laying
absorption.
beside the
So
the
corpse.
body.
prone. So now we got to figure in prone,
Yep.
which changes stuff. So
I didn't want to drag the
prone.
corpse up onto my body. I thought about
Character
it for
immediately
a
drops to
second.
ground, making them a smaller target. Character may not drop to case. So in the resistance dice from cover and the like, target has any resistance dice. So somehow I'm supposed to give you resistance dice from cover.
Is that on the screen? That's something that would definitely be on the
I
screen.
hope so. Conflict,
Wouldn't it be in the chart?
elimination, odds, difficulty, opposed, minor actions, special NPC special abilities, starship, weapons table, damage effects, starship damage, attack, conflict. I don't see it on the screen. Complication range table. I don't see it on the screen. Alright, so we're trying to figure out how many resistance dice you get from being prone behind the body. Correct?
Yes.
So in the main,
Well, and I'm
book.
prone, so the difficulty on range attacks is even more.
yeah, it increases the difficulty and also cover provides resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So how much does it? I'm guessing it increases difficulty by 1. So I certainly need that, which may change it from the difference between hitting you and not hitting you.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, it would be resistance. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it says resistance dice from cover and the like. So I guess
But
I could
get
give you.
one
Yeah, I guess 1 resistance die. But really, because it raises the difficulty from a 2 to a 3, that means he hits the corpse, zaps the corpse, but doesn't hit you. It makes a nice sizzling. Because their weapons are vicious.
Bacon.
Oh, I got a
Okay,
5.
but it saved you. It didn't get
good.
through to you because he would have needed a 3 success, and he can't.
Yeah.
All right. And now it comes to you, number 1 fearless leader, right? You haven't shot yet?
No,
Or
he
have you?
did.
No, he did. John? Have you?
Nope, this
fired?
is the
I
next.
fired.
This is second. This is round 2. It only took an hour.
So everybody on your side is fired.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Everybody on his side. Okay, we're now on
So we
round
only hit 2
2
of them?
at 9:17 p.m. Do we want to resolve this combat or drag it out till another time? All right.
No.
I think we're getting there pretty quickly.
Yeah.
All right. So it's now your guys' turn. It's no longer the first round, so you no longer get that momentum advantage.
No.
But he was first, so what do you want to do? One on the right or the one down the hallway? Okay.
Everybody speak
Roll
both,
away.
Romulan?
Romulan?
So you need the D6.
There's
Wait, Universal Translator.
You
No,
have
we're
to
all-
roll the hit.
Yeah, I guess so. You could, if you want to
Yeah.
shout at them instead. There is a negotiate or whatever task. You can engage them other ways. All right.
So you got 2, and that's a 4, but it's 2 because you have a range.
Yeah.
And then a 20. So you have 2 successes and a 20.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your damage.
He needs the 2 more. Back. Okay. So 1, 3, 3, and no effect.
Okay. So the console there, you just nail it. Bright sparks go everywhere, temporarily blinding everyone from the bright flash. And smoke fills that area, obscuring visibility beyond. You hear the sound of running feet running away. You can't see anything, smoke and dazzle of your eyes. Who is next on your?
I'm going to move up.
Okay, how much? To the edge of that door?
Yeah.
Okay.
Past
All right.
I'm hopefully past the smoke.
No, that's where all the smoke is where they are, because he hit that console thing there in the middle.
Then can I go through the smoke?
You're going to charge through the smoke
Yes.
blindly?
Yeah.
Roll daring plus something.
I have covered roll the packets.
Daring
That actually comes in security.
security? Or command?
He's not instructing people to do things. He's doing something.
Daring plus security.
Daring, okay, 12.
Okay.
Because I'm a daring of 10.
Okay.
Two
Yeah.
successes, and if I'm allowed to do dual tactics, that's possibly 4 successes.
I don't think this is a tactic.
Okay. Okay. So 2
Yeah.
successes.
I mean, think 1776, the Native American tech.
Okay.
Such. Okay, so you come charging into the smoke, try not to breathe it, trying to hold your breath.
Mhm.
Come running up, there's the 2 stunned bodies there laying there. You don't see a third, and as you come through the smoke, you don't see the 4th either. Okay. Next? Who's next?
Wait,
Nope.
was that my minor action?
That was your move. That was a major...
You can use
You just
your,
moved, like, quite a bit.
You can use your determination to have another ad.
If you want to do another action.
No, I'll stay there.
Okay.
Well, they take an action, so.
I am going to
That'd
That'd be
rummage
carried
through
out
my
character performance
kit
and movement related.
for 3 pieces of cloth.
What?
I'm gonna rummage through my kit to see if I can find 3 pieces of cloth.
3 pieces of cloth. Or you could, there's bandages, or there's clothes.
Well, I'm sure
yeah.
there's like slings and stuff like that. and
there's bandages.
they're basically
The
bandanas.
sling you wouldn't have, but you'd have bandage material.
Okay. Well then
A trifold.
yeah.
Okay, so you're trying to make that
Yeah, that's in every first aid kit. I'm trying to
Sure.
make
for your. Okay, that's fine. So you're working on that, and John.
I yell surrender and move forward to this spot.
Okay. So you hear him come running up behind you, yelling surrender. At this point, combat has stopped because you don't see any more opponents. So you guys can go ahead and free form your communication. So You hear him come running up. Surrender! You can't see through the smoke. You do see what's ahead. You can report back and such now.
All clear. I'm doing the stun targets, and I start.
Charging grenade.
I will bring you something for
Delay
the
that.
smoke.
And the dice, please.
Delay that. Not delay.
Belay that
I
order.
said delay.
Oh yeah.
He meant delay. All right.
Yeah, and I
We
bring
have a
up
lot
stuff for the smoke.
more to learn on this system, clearly. John, sounds like you're going to be doing some homework on it from videos.
So
Hand me down all your papers. I'm going to put them all in the box. I think it has potential. We've got to figure it out. I did read some reviews that explain that the combat system was a little less than intuitive. That was one of the complaints, is it took a little bit of doing. But I don't have a problem with complexity. The problem is their presentation. I don't think there's anything wrong with the system. It's how they present it.
Yeah.
They're doing it in not the smoothest way. We will figure it out. I don't think it's a flawed system in that.
Yeah.
How they present. That's been our point for a lot of these intros. All about present. How you present the learning more effectively.
That once
But
for
looking
scene
at,
ability seems broken.
looking at how it has the threat, so non-lethal doesn't incur threats. Lethal does, which gives more power to escalate the situation.
Right.
That seems like a really good behavior modifier to discourage willy-nilly murder hoboing, right? Stunning is safe, right? And you see that all the time in Star Trek. They stun left and right.
Well, yeah, they're like, let me just stun you, and then we'll deal
Wide
with it
area
later.
stun, all that stuff. But so that then you can talk. That was the point. You don't stun them so that then you can kill them, right? That was the key thing. Because looks like with this game, if you did that, the threat will. Well, if you do that, yeah, I'm going to crank up the threat points on you,
Right.
which means next time you have an encounter with NPC, they've got a ton of threat points to use against you. And so it escalates the situation not in your favor. So if you want to learn to min-max and manipulate the game system, it behooves you to have the most useful non-violent solutions. It looks like you can get bonus. Did I get all? I need all the tokens back. You get bonus momentum for doing things like negotiating and success and stuff like that. So that's really, I added an extra folder. That's again a really good behavior mod. If somebody's likes to min max and power max, they're not going to be able to make it more bloody. It's going to be much more about how to have more persuasive influence. That yes, you can still kill them more, right? You'll have extra points to spend on that, but it works against you every. That's an interesting mechanism for deterring overly violent actions.
So, who's this by?
Modiphius.
Modiphius?
Not
So-
Morpheus.
Modiphius, if you are out there and watching our thing,
Our
we
poor stumbling
really,
along.
really would love to hear from you about the problems we're having.
Yeah, and John's going to be researching it. So
Yeah.
I have a theory that on your first attack, you got 5 successes. That's an injury, and because that
it didn't matter. He was stunned anyway. So
Well,
it had
no,
the
my
same
point
result.
is that injury equals stun because you're doing non-lethal. Not according to what I'm
Yeah,
reading.
that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Is which of those is the stun? The effect, or do you have to cross the
Well,
threshold?
and I
of
think the
injury for
effect-
Now,
effect-
let me finish.
Effect, yeah.
The effect would have been because the charge is one of the things, and he gets all these choices. Which effect of the charge would have been? He could have done broad, which means the first 3 characters in there would have all been stunned.
No, that's not. That's you have to do that before. That's a declared.
So in other
So
words,
the broad
his
is only if you set it to that perk.
but okay, so if he set it to broad,
Because you go, I'm going to go broad.
and then he doesn't get broad unless he gets it rolls an effect.
So we have to pick a
No,
fact.
he has to. Yeah, well, you guys did. You picked stun. You picked a
That's not
non-lethal
an
stun.
effect.
Stun isn't an effect.
It's a
Okay, so
setting.
that doesn't make any. That's what I'm saying. We're not finding.
When I said start phasers to stun, the phaser has a charge thing. None of the options is stun. There is
Yeah, it doesn't
area.
make any sense.
There's area. There's vicious. There's piercing. There is
Yeah, that
By
doesn't make any
declaring
sense.
Stun, all that does is declaring non-lethal.
intense.
Right, and
Yeah.
so when is the stun effect? What triggers? The
It's
stun
not
effect?
an
you
effect.
reach the
I don't
when
think.
you reach the injured threshold.
It's
Injured
So
threshold.
if it, the 5, that's what I was
5,
wondering if that's it or not.
Yeah, 5 or when you knock it down to 0.
Right.
If I kept getting
But
force, then
as
that's
far
fine.
as the effects, so I'm looking at effect on here in phaser type 1. There's charges and hidden 1. So hidden 1 is you keep it hidden.
Right.
So charges.
Charge is the only effect. And the charge has
And the
multiple
only effects they listed was like broad, piercing, whatever.
Yeah.
and vicious.
And it just, yeah, it isn't
Which
clear.
means you can get to stun faster.
So hopefully the videos will clarify. I'm sure the videos will clarify.
Yep.
And you can tell
There's
us what
several videos.
what we did right and what we did wrong.
Everything!
That could well be.
So it's my opinion that the easiest way to get actual stun based off of a non-lethal injury is we set our phasers to vicious 1, but we're doing vicious non-lethal because the damage. What vicious says is whenever we deal damage, whenever there's an effect, it counts as an additional damage. So you can roll 1 damage.
That's
2 damage,
really
or 1 foot.
counterintuitive.
It is.
Nothing here is intuitive. Nobody's claiming that.
Yeah. Well, let me know what your videos say, John.
Okay.
That'll be. But overall, we didn't get very far, but that's because we're figuring this out. I think it's worth us going deeper, don't you?
You're going to join us the next time we do this?
Next Sunday?
Next Sunday?
Maybe next Sunday. No?
I'm not gonna be.
Oh, it's Memorial Weekend.
It's probably gonna be the Sunday after. 'Cause we're gonna have a vote.
Tomorrow we're having a vote on administrative meeting on swag.
Yes.
Yeah,
Are we also
that's
gonna
just 6 to
discuss
7.
Memorial Day weekend? I can't be the only one going out of town, am I?
I think you are.
I don't have a dog.
I don't
in
think
my
anybody
name. How am I
else.
going to go out of town?
Yeah, I don't think
Someone
anybody
else
else is
paying for me
skipping.
to go out of town.
Yeah, I don't think anybody else is skipping. You're planning to be here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only way I'm
My
going
wife
out of town
works.
is if I'm going back to Florida.
Yeah. So I think would still. I don't know. It's up to him. You know, if he wants to-
I will do her doctor.
Are you going with us? I don't think you are.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We'll
You're tired, aren't you?
all right. So promising, worth going deeper, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. We will
the-
do that.
Oh, we
It
should
has
sign off.
potential. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it has potential, and so I think we'll keep working on.
Let's just say our good night. So you already shut them off?
Nope.
No, you wanted?
Not for-
I know when you better stay live long enough. Yeah, well.
Anyway, all right. So we bumbled our way through beginnings of the first adventure. We have a lot more to figure out. Hopefully, my next one, John here. I mean, I won't because you guys know Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, basically going off the radar. Yet I have to compose the professional for our wedding and do. Phone writing to you. Hey,
There's an interview Tuesday you gotta make.
take care of all that. Monday I'll be here, but it was Thursday. Not going online other than I'll do the meeting Tuesday morning with the. After that, I'm offline until. So you guys.
Probably the two done. Because I think
That's
Planet-
assuming Shane even shows.
So
Yeah.
what about playing Home Alone?
Well, I'll be there. That.
So you wanna
But we're
review
going to Spark Central.
Yeah.
So Shane actually Shane does show up for Spark.
it?
Other stuff. Hopefully, so really make sure you're showing up with it.
Okay.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you for joining us. Do please consider donating. RPGresearch.com/donate. Wherever you may be well, happy gaming and audio.
Dream well.
The force be with
Live long and prosper, wherever it goes.
Nanu, Nanu.
Shazbot.
That was about it.